Hello, friends.
Ah!
Hello. Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Welcome to the chillest stream you've ever had. It's the R&R. It's the R&R chill zone. We're just here
Yes,
to chill and talk about board games.
that's all we're going to do, folks. Chill, talk
Heck
about board
yeah.
games. Welcome on in. This is the pre-show to the R&R Show, folks. This is episode 94. We're getting close to 100.
Are we doing anything special for 100?
Yeah,
think
what should we do?
should. We should talk about we should talk about what we're going to do for the 100th episode. I don't know what to do. Do we?
I say as someone who's only been here for like 10.
Yeah, me too.
We really hit a milestone, guys. We gotta
Honestly,
celebrate.
I only count the ones that you've been on anyway.
Aw,
Yeah.
shucks.
So
Everything else, it's just not worth talking about.
It was
Chat,
just-
what should we do for 100? Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know in chat.
And it cannot
folks.
be your 100 favorite games. That's vetoed.
No.
That's true.
That's vetoed. Hard veto. But Alone Shark says, "Oh, these vibes are already just what I needed." I'm so glad. We all were sitting here in the pre-show being like, "Man, we're all sleepy vibes right now."
We were
So
completely
hopefully-
silent. And
Yeah.
we normally we're
Yeah.
just chatting. Like we're just like chatting as part of the day. Nobody took the
Mm-mm.
initiative to be like, "So, what's up?" No, we were just
No.
silent.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so
but I think that, like that's the right
Uh-huh.
mood though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
I was
is-
silently eating my bagel before it came on, so
Mhm.
I have sustenance in me. I don't know what it is. I know exactly what it is. Yesterday I had a huge lunch. We had a family get together, huge lunch, and I think that just set me off for the rest of the day and it's part of today as well.
you're still dealing with the ramifications of yesterday's lunch?
Yeah, it was like
That's
this
hilarious.
this awesome barbecue, and it's like, oh my gosh. Faticos, thank you so much for the follow. Again, we appreciate you, and thank you for the
Hi from
resub,
Germany.
and thank you for the
Barefoot.
subscription.
Thanks, Barefoot.
Yeah.
Speaking about Germany, one thing we did talk about the pre-show.
Woo!
More like I just talked at everybody about it. I'm coming to your country soon for the first time. I literally just found out before we hopped on this call that I'm going to be going to Essen this year for the very first time.
Nice.
Hopefully, I mean, it's like I don't have my tickets and everything, but the app was like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yes, please
Nice.
send me." So I'm
And now
going
we're
to
saying it
Essen
on
after
stream
this-
to make sure that it gets
I know.
locked
Yeah.
in. Now it's
Yeah.
official.
It's official.
No, I'm very excited. I've never been before, so I hope. I don't
Yeah.
know, Faticos.
Faticos?
I hope you're ready for me. I'm gonna be coming to your country soon.
Nice.
Very excited.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list of places to go, Ray. I would
Yeah.
one of these days. I'd love to get out there.
Yeah, I'm very
Barefoot
excited.
Bug, thank you for the resub. Dice Trade, thank you for the follow. Folks, what you're watching right now is the pre-show. We are going to be recording our top 12 games of 2024 so far. So if you haven't seen the show before, we do a pre-show here. We hang out with y'all, chat a little bit. Then we record the show for YouTube where we will focus on getting out the list, talk about all the games. And then we'll come back for a post-show where we'll talk about more games, the games that did make our top 12. And we also want to talk about the games that you have enjoyed so far in 2024. So let us know in chat, especially during the post show as well. What else is new, friends? We were talking about Chris is really going all in on the evil twirly mustache there, and it is looking pretty good.
It's
my
evil
friend.
stash time, baby.
Yeah.
Or it's vaudeville villain, vaudevillian.
I really so if I were to do that, Chris, do I just let it grow and just keep twirling it every day? Is that the secret?
That's pretty much what I do. I just fidget. It actually gives me a really great thing to fidget with because
Nice.
I'm always like,
Yeah.
Whenever I'm on a stream, I'm like just ripping out
I'm-
tufts of my hair and throwing them at the camera. Which it's you got to have a unique thing. So that's my unique
Right.
thing.
It's
But
your
now,
stick, yeah.
now thankfully I've been able to just replace that with me just sitting and like going,
That's
let me
productive,
think, and just trying to keep emphasizing that twirl, and eventually getting some wax or something rather than just my greasy little fingers.
Yeah.
My greasy little fingies.
That's awful. I hate it. Wow. Wow. Tell me less.
Little what's our
I've got
place?
some
Little
chicken
Dapper
grease
Dan.
over here. I've got some
Chicken
popcorn over
grease.
here. I have a bunch of little ramekins just around the computer, and it's very dangerous because I've knocked over several, and now my computer's just covered in grease. So I'm typing. It's
Wow.
like somebody's feet are walking through a swamp. You know that expression, just like.
This stream is getting grosser by the second.
Like that, yeah. I'm gonna cut Chris off, and real quick before we get too distracted, Say hi to a couple of first-time chatters. We have some new folks in chat. I just want to say hi to Velvet Knight. Thanks for joining us for the very first time. Eric, love you very much. Thank you for joining us in chat.
Eric's in the house.
And then Dachita, welcome in for the first time. Welcome to their first R&R show. I feel like we should I don't know, point that out.
We should celebrate that for sure.
Yeah.
I want to thank
this is my
Tempo
first
Town.
stream and I'm unsubscribing. That's valid, Eric.
Oh.
That's completely. I don't blame you. Get out while you can.
That's what we try to do here, baby. Welcome to the bowels of the internet. You've arrived.
I do want to shout out Tempo Town for redeeming a top 3. So, folks, if you're a regular here on the channel, you will be accruing your Rahdo channel points. You can spend on all kinds of fun stuff, including the Ruel ranks, a this or that, or in this case, Tempo Town's done a top 3. So why don't we do that in honor of Tempo Town? We've got a top 3. Folks, we're going to leave it up to you all to decide the topic. And Ray, Chris, and I are going to come up with the definitive top 3 of that topic. Whether it's game-related or food-related or mustache wax related, let us know what your topic, what we're going to vote on for the top 3.
Alone Shark says, because Eric's username is What's Eric Playing? And Alone Shark says, what is Eric playing? Nothing. They ruin games and fun. Man, gotta get a whole new screen name and everything. Oh, nice. Boy.
Thank you, Alone Shark.
I also, real quick, we also had someone suggest that for the 100th episode, we should play the same game 100 times. That, I want to explicitly not veto that. I think that's hilarious.
I think that's hilarious, too.
Like, documenting our journey playing the exact same game 100 times over and over again.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
That would be pretty good. Well, if we played something quick... Well, it's still okay. I was like, oh, only a 5-minute game. That's still 500 minutes.
Still
so
a long time.
That's still a very long stream. It's almost a 10-hour stream. But,
imagine, like,
it worked for Mr.
So
Beast.
Funny though.
Yeah,
I love like ridiculous marathon streams.
I
did that back when I was on the CGE channel. I did the letter jam puzzle. So we used to make puzzles based on the covers of our boxes. And if you're familiar with the letter jam cover, it's 90%. Just the color white.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch me have an active mental breakdown on stream, I think that VOD still exists on the internet somewhere. It was like 9 hours. It was insane.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think
it was
we
mostly
made
Ray crying and holding puzzle pieces. Yeah, it was really bad.
I think we made a WSBG puzzle. Danny Standring made a WSBG puzzle with all like the sponsor logos, but everybody got the sponsor logos, and then it was just all white as well. And it was like put out on the table. We expected it was going to be finished over the weekend. We're like, oh, we don't want to make it too easy, else it'll be finished too quickly. It never got finished.
That is
it
awesome.
never got finished because it was just all white.
I love this. Omar Hernandez says, speed tic-tac-toe times 100. There you go. I could totally do that. You know, if you did a game 100 times, like, I'm curious, like, what's the point where you're just like, okay, I'm so over this. I'm saving it. Dude, is it after
Well, that's the experiment.
Right?
That's the part I want to find out. I want to get to the core of the human experience.
When do you say, when do you say it's been a failure and you're just going to quit? Is it after 20 times?
Never.
30 times?
Oh, we don't quit.
Yeah.
Now we could accelerate this if we were playing 3 at once, and then you just make sure to take your turn rotated, right? Like, so then we only have to play like
how
essentially
many
33
open BGA
times.
games can you have at a time? Could you have 100 open?
Oh, I think you could have 100.
Yeah, I think you could.
I think you have
That's
to build up to it though.
I love it.
Yeah. That sounds terrible, but I would. Wow. I think I would totally do it. I think for BGA I've had like 22 open at one time. Yeah, I think that was the most I've ever had. And it was really funny. It was like all different games. So literally my mind was just exploding. Like, I don't remember how to play this game. I'm just going to press this button.
I can't have more than 3 BGA games or I have a breakdown.
I don't do turn-based because I get too invested. I'll just do, like, I'll go on. I'm like, I want to play this game. I'm playing it now. I'm playing it real time. I'm done.
Got it.
Right?
That's smart.
Otherwise, it just takes all my space until it's done, and then I have to be thinking about this game for like 4 days and not being productive for 4 days, rather than just not be productive for an hour.
Alone Shark says, "That's awful. I love it. That sounds terrible, but I'd do it." New taglines, yeah, totally.
Yeah, truly.
The R&R Show. It's awful, but you love it.
But you love it. Also, Dice Stray, another first-time chatter. Welcome on in. I love your username. Thanks.
Oh, that's a great username. Today. Wow.
We had several suggestions for top 3s before we get too sidetracked. Tempo Town, the redeemer of the top 3 themselves, says that they want to know my top 3 op games. So we can do that. We have some other suggestions of top 3 short solo games. We had top 3 food crumbs in your mustache. Top 3 uses for ramekins. Top 3 barbecue sides. I think those are all the contenders. I don't know.
I think we do top 3 op games because that's by the person who redeemed the top 3. I think there was a shout out that we had to do. I don't know if there was somebody who redeemed a shout out.
I just saw a shout out right here. Look at this.
What does it say?
It says shout out to all the ramekins filled with greases.
Oh, I don't know who redeemed that. I don't know who redeemed that with their 27,000 Rahdo points that they've accrued over the course that they just now realized they could spend making Ruel shout out whatever phrase they wanted. Yeah. I don't know who came up with that.
Oh my gosh. Definitely the grossest shout out here on the show, folks, so far.
Yeah.
Wow. Lone Shark says the trick to board games is to instantly forget what you planned on doing until it's your turn again. Highly recommend, especially if you like losing. Oh, yeah, I do that all the time. Hey, we just had a hype train. Thank you, folks. Ooh. And Bang was saying top 3 bosses in games.
Now, Ray.
Hey, Jamie.
Top 3 op games.
I need to know because I think we're going with top 3. I think we're going with top 3 op, right?
We have to.
Okay, I got you.
So I need to, if I go to the op.games, I can get the list. That's where I'm looking right now. I want to make sure I survey. I have I have what I have in my. I think I know which ones I want to add or talk about, but
yeah, the op.games.
Sure I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know
I'm
what?
clicking on the hobby games. I'm looking at hobby games first.
You know what? I'm going to pick one that's not on that is not a hobby game. I'm taking a non-hobby.
Our party game line has got me real good.
It's frankly some of the best party games out there.
Right?
Yeah,
that's true.
Top 3.
So we'll do this collectively, like we do the regular R&R list. We'll each take one.
Oh,
okay.
I only pick one.
Let's do one.
Yeah, but you can pick your 3 at the end, right?
Yeah,
and then,
Ray, you
and
will
then
give your
bump
3.
ours out.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Understood.
So, I will lead things off because I really want to get mine in. I don't want you all to steal this.
I'm still looking.
Okay. So my number 1, so this will be number 3 on the list. We're going to have Ray do number 1, of course. So it'll be me, then Chris, then Ray. My number 3 op game of our top 3 op games ever, Telestrations.
Dang it.
Yes.
Well, why would you do that to me?
It's
very good pick.
Oh, it's so good. I recently played it at a family party, and it never gets old. It really doesn't.
No.
From group to group, it plays differently. And what's great, I've played, I don't know how many times I've played this, dozens and dozens of times. I've never kept score one time. We don't keep score because it's just too fun. It's too much. We just keep going until we're tired of it or we need to do something else. Oh, it's wonderful. It's folks, if you've never played it,
I'm so glad.
highly recommend. It's basically the children's game Telephone. If you ever played Telephone as a kid, using drawings. You get a clue, you draw it, and then you pass it on, and you're trying to figure out what people are coming up with. And this is the type of game that if you're worried about your drawing skills, it's better if you don't know how to draw like me. I draw stuff and no one ever figures out what I'm trying to say. And that's what makes it fun. So that's our number 3 of collective op games, Telestrations.
I love that. I love how much you love Telestrations. It's such a good one too. And it has infinite replayability. I have taken to playing Telestrations with just like really elaborate sentences up front, like instead of using the one words that come on the cards, like you tell a story and seeing where that goes, so you can always add more to that game. So yeah, that's a great pick.
I love Telestrations.
Well, our number 2 is Telestrate. No, just kidding. I'm looking at all the lines now. There's a ton. I didn't realize that you guys did What the Cup.
We did do What the Cup.
Oh,
are you a secret What the Cup fan?
No, yeah, you bet.
Die hard What the Cup fan.
I love What the Cup. Because one of the raps that I did for Kagan Productions show reel, it had What the Cup in it. So I was watching the video and I was like, what is this What the Cup? And so I threw What the Cup on 8 was in there. Because you revealed it and revealed an 8. It was like, I'm like one of these. No, I'm 8 of these. And then I thought it was a fun line. I played Tapple for the first time recently too.
Hey!
Oh, nice.
I love Tapple.
Tapple's terrific.
I think for my pick though, I'm gonna, because you distribute it, and I got it first from the op, so I'm giving it to the op. I'm doing the Marvel Dice Throne 4-hero box.
Oh yeah,
Scarlet Witch, Thor, Loki, and Spider-Man. Specifically that one.
That's valid.
Yeah. That's the one that I like. That has I think those characters are like 4 of my top 6 Dice Throne characters. They're all so fun in that one. And it's on sale right now.
What?
Oh, it's on sale according to me.
Oh, whoa!
It's on sale for $30.
Yeah.
Hey,
look at
there
that.
you go.
Yeah.
Go get it. Go get it, everyone.
Yeah, good call on Dice Throne. It's I love Dice Throne. It's terrific, and I love Marvel as well. So it's the best of both worlds for our number 2 Dice Throne, and we're leaving it up to Ray
that's such a fun pick. This is so hard because we have such distinctive categories of games, like best party games, and then also best hobby games are like 2 very distinctive lists in my brain.
Yeah. But you can only pick one, and all the other ones cease to exist. So pick My Hero Academia Clue. Pick that one, because I saw that and I love My Hero Academia.
And, My Hero too. We have a lot of really fun IPs, and especially with the clues, we tend to do like, it's not always just a reskin. We tend to give like special like gameplay additions and tweaks and stuff to the clues, especially the clues, which I really enjoy. But I think I'm gonna say, oh yeah, Jamie, I considered saying that Flip 7 is a game that we just recently started teasing. It's gonna be a big party game release at Gen Con. It's a push your luck like casino style game that I really, really enjoy. But I think I'm gonna have to. I think if I have to pick something,
and you must.
I must.
Wow.
I think if I must pick something.
And don't forget, we are going to give you your top 3 after this. We'll do the one, and then we'll let you.
I think I'm going to go with Gnome Hollow. I think Gnome Hollow is going to be
nice.
Yeah. I think that has to be the pick. But it's really hard. If I was going to do a full top 3, it would probably be Telestrations, Hues and Cues, which I really love. Partially just because it does so well on social. So I've just been able to have a ton of fun with that game on like TikTok and stuff. It's just an endless fountain of content for me. And it's always so fun. And then Gnome Hollow.
Nice.
And then your 4th would be Grey's Anatomy Monopoly.
Yes, exactly. Followed by Doctor Who Yahtzee.
Yeah. You know what? That's really good.
Nice.
Imaginary, we are not talking about our top best Origins games. We were just talking about our top op games, but Origins is another great thing we can talk about. I went to Origins last weekend.
Yeah.
It was lovely. It was really nice. We didn't have a formal presence there. We didn't have a booth or anything, but I was just wandering around with some games in my backpack doing some like back alley demos of anyone who saw me. They're like, do you have Gnome Hollow? And I was like, ooh, yes, I do. Which was a lot of fun. So it was a nice little teaser for Gen Con, which is going to be gnarly. It's coming very, very soon.
Gen Con is so soon. I was before we came on live, I was talking to Ray. I said, hey, I finally got my airline, my flight to Gen Con, which is a good thing, right? We're about a month away.
That is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's better than your usual. I have nothing prepared.
Right.
I'm not basically not going.
So there it is, Chris.
Normally open.
Yeah, there's the big news. I have a flight. Now,
honestly, yeah, that's the biggest news of the stream. That's the biggest news of the year. Forget best of 2024.
Yeah. Every time Ruel has just been like, man, I really got to start prepping for Gen Con. And we're like, have you made any progress? He's like, nope. I don't have anything.
But okay, I have my flight. Now I just need a badge and I need a hotel room. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So I've got one.
All right.
Hopefully before Gen Con we'll have all 3, but stay tuned, folks. You never know. We'll see what happens. Maybe I just fly out there and hang out. I don't know.
It says in the chat we see Ray running around with a big trench coat at cons. Hey buddy, you want to buy a clue? But Ruel will be taking that trench coat and turning it into a tent.
Yes, that's my housing for Gen Con, folks.
Watching while Ray's off the clock.
Imaginary, I'm sorry I missed you. Bummer. You'll have to come find us at Gen Con. We're gonna have a pretty wild booth at Gen Con. I'm really excited. It'll be hard. Let's just say it'll be hard to miss us at Gen Con. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Nice. Imaginary, thank you for resubscribing. Appreciate you. Always appreciate the support. Folks, if you haven't subscribed already, you can use your Amazon Prime account and subscribe for free. You get all kinds of fun perks. The 2 big ones are, number 1, discounts on Rahdo merch, and number 2, you get a secret playlist of how many videos? I think it's like 30 videos this month. Rahdo just dropped a new playlist for all subscribers on Twitch where you have access to playthroughs that no one else has access to. So that's if you're a subscriber. To get access to that
videos this month.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are like from previous, years. So he
Okay,
just,
wow.
yeah, he puts them up. These are usually
That's
behind a
still a
paywall.
lot.
It's a ton. It's a lot, folks. So, imagine Eric and over anyone else who just subscribed, Feld fan as well. Be sure to whisper me or whisper Rahdo, and I'll answer it. And I'll give you the secret link, and then you'll be able to watch those videos.
We love a secret.
Rahdo.
I will say, Lone Shark says in chat, the only way I make it to Gen Con is by working. If I had to make a plan myself, forget about it. Flatout has to take care of me or I'm just not there. That's so true. I can hardly throw stones at Ruel. I have never once planned my own trip to Gen Con. I have always gone just on the backs of a publisher.
Yeah.
So truly, if I had to go on my own, I wouldn't even know where to start. Everyone always talks about what a nightmare the housing blocks are and stuff, and I've been very fortunate that I've been able to just never deal with that. So
yeah, I was
take all the crap I give you with a grain of salt, in that I have never had to do it myself, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I just like to dogpile.
I totally get it. It's funny because I had a similar conversation with Paula Deming, and she had posted recently on Twitter. She said, "Hi, it's about a month away from Gen Con. Does anyone have a room?" I'm like, Paula, I know exactly what you're going through, and I texted her. I was like, hey, if you have any, hits, she's like, I have no idea. Yeah. So she actually, I think a publisher reached out to her, or someone reached out to her with a room. So now I'm going to start putting out the call there soon, and hopefully we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chat, do you have any other conventions that you're going to? Or is anyone going to PAX U or Gen Con or any of the... Are there any more Dice Tower shows for the rest of the year?
I think Dice Tower East. Oh, maybe that's done. Maybe that was in June. No, I think it's probably July. Dice Tower East is probably July.
Yeah. Though I'm planning on PAX U. I'm not really sure. I love PAX Unplugged. That's one of my favorite shows. But I have tried to cut down a little bit on travel this year. I know Chris and I are going to be at the World Series of Board Gaming in September.
You betcha, baby.
Ooh, exciting.
How's that coming along, Chris? Any news to report on that front?
It's great. I mean, we're trying to do a thing. I've been doing my little news announcements on the World Series YouTube channel, but we've got a whole bunch of really cool things that we've been asking publishers to do, and they're just getting back to us. So we have the very first tournament map for Arc Nova.
Yes.
That will be the final. And everybody who plays in Arc Nova gets this map. You get the official tournament map. I think everybody's going to get to play with it if they make it to the final table. And we'll have pictures of that out too, so people can see it in advance and think about a strategy. But that's pretty sweet. Terraforming Mars, everybody's getting their own Vegas promo card that they're making specifically. For us, I don't know what it does, but I know it's a project card. Heat. If you do Heat, you're going to get your own new map for Heat. A new track.
That's really legit for Heat.
It's huge.
Deal.
I mean, it is we're printing out a fan made one that has been signed off on by Daniel and Asger. They're this one is cool. So we're printing that out for everybody who signs up for Heat.
And they're so sweet. The guys behind Heat, they're also the people who made Aqua, which is one of our games up the top. Right. They're really cool guys. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I did a interview with Asger where we played Heat against each other on BGA while I asked him questions. It was a Hot One style interview, and so I tried to distract him.
Genius.
That's cool.
Then so I called it the Heat Distracted Driving Edition. And so,
that's awesome.
And I just put one out on Dice Tower on Saturday, where it was the Min versus Elwyn Lost Ruins of Arnak death match, to see who could. And so I tried to ask them questions while they were playing as well to keep them off their toes, and they were like, "Oh no, I made a mistake. I screwed this up."
Hold on, time out. Pause. Time out. When do you get to meet Min and Elwyn?
I met them online, and we did it online. We did it through Board Game Arena.
Online.
Yeah, we did it online through Board Game Arena, and so they both faced off against each other.
That is adorable. The only reason I ask is because I used to work for CG, so I know Min and Elwyn pretty well. But they're very reclusive. They're quite all the fame and attention that Arnak got. They're some of the most humble,
they're
just
awesome.
Sweet, quiet, keep to themselves people. And I used to always have to nudge and prod them to be come on stream, market your game with me, please.
Yeah,
they always said yes when I really put the screws to them, but they were always oh no, they just are very sweet, very
nice,
very shy, frankly. So I'm honestly very impressed that you got them to do that. That sounds really cool. They're so great on camera. They just used to get kind of like
They're
shy about
so great on
marketing their game,
camera.
and I'm like, you two are so cute and so sweet. Like,
They
oh
are so friggin' cute and sweet and
yeah,
adorable. You're 100% right. They're coming to WSBG too, and I was like,
Oh,
well, you're
cool.
that's
going to
awesome.
I'm like, you're gonna commentate on Lost Ruins of Arnak. They're like, well, yeah, but maybe you have just make sure you have somebody with us to like
Yeah,
help keep the talking up. In the
that's
comments of that
awesome.
video, somebody called me unbearable because I was giving them too many leading questions. So they're like,
Unbearable.
don't you know how to interview people? I was like, well, maybe
No,
I'm,
whoa,
giving them time to think and filling time, but you go ahead. It's fine. So I just
you.
responded as room and board. I like him. Someone said, Chris is unbearable. So I'm like, I think he's great.
That's fantastic.
I love
But
that.
I thought it was awesome, like having them play against each other. And so we like finding that balance of questions about the game versus like
Mhm.
questions about design process too, I think was like a really cool
That's
neat fun
awesome. I'll
thing.
have
Yeah,
to
but
go watch that.
Yeah.
they're so adorable. The
They're
screen
really
screen
cute.
grab that I grabbed for the thumbnail, I was like, this is that was there's my
Oh.
gestures.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
so excited about Min and Elwin. It's like it's so cute. You see, like Elwin was answering a question and Min was just looking at him like so sweet. And I was like, man, you two are like couple goals. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're our one of our royal couples. That's what I want them to
Yeah.
be in the board gaming space.
That's great.
They're so great.
Really cute.
But yeah, so things are going well. We got
Nice.
a lot of exclusive stuff. I think we're gonna get like
Mhm.
also an Earth. If you're entering Earth, I think you're gonna get like a neoprene mat for Earth. So
Ooh.
like very specific to get like if you go to WSBG and you play in one of these events, and we're again like trying to make things happen. And if not for this year, then next year we want every single event, every single game that you play in, you get something cool for your game, right? Because
That's awesome.
if you want to enter like a tournament, you kind of know that game, and so getting that like exclusive piece
Yeah.
means a little bit more, right?
Totally,
Somebody
yeah.
was like, I'll never be able to get this because people will be reselling them. I was like, people will not be reselling them. These are the fans of the game.
Yeah.
Like people love this game who are like coming and competing. Like that's the reason why they're coming to WSBG. It's because they are like big fans, or they just they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to play in a tournament setting and see how well they do and see if they can beat. I mean, you really only have to beat 12 people when you think about it to win the ring, because it's
That's
like
true.
max 4 rounds.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
Yeah.
So it's if you can beat 12 people, you get the ring, you get the bragging rights. But we want to make sure that everybody walks away with something cool. So
That's really
that's
cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna push the Terraforming Mars people to make a friggin' corporation card next year for WSBG.
Yeah.
That's what I'm constantly being like, hey, do that.
Pretty
That would
and
be sweet.
and I like that I'm now that we're doing this thing, I was like, great. I can just now ask for all the things that I want from
Yeah.
from like for expansion things. I was like, yes, please create all these promos because you friggin' bet I'll be taking myself home a little grab bag. Like, no chance I'm not.
Chris, so you're producing the live stuff at WSBG. Do you actually have time during the event to sneak away and play a game
Already
or
starts
two?
shaking
No,
his head.
no, yeah.
Time
Absolutely
for
not.
anything. Doesn't matter
No.
what it was
Nothing,
gonna
huh?
be.
Oh,
No, absolutely not. There is
Yeah.
no chance. And I feel bad because sometimes I see people and they're like, "Oh yeah, if you get a chance to play a game," and I always answer, I was like, "Listen, I absolutely love this as an idea.
Yeah.
I would love to do it. I would be so happy to do it, and it will never happen." And
Yeah.
I'm
That's me
very
at Gen
sorry.
Con.
Yeah.
I'm just like, love that you think that's gonna happen. I wish it could.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not going to. Okay, wait. So I have a question for you. So what are out of all the games that are in the WSBG lineup this year, if you had to compete in one, which one would you pick?
That's a good question.
Ooh.
That has oscillated over the years. I
Okay.
think I would pick Splendor. I
Ooh.
think
Ooh,
I would pick
Splendor.
Splendor. I think
Okay.
I could do a pretty good job at Splendor.
Huh.
My
Yeah.
win rate is pretty high in Splendor. In terms of if I was making a full sort of like 4, because you can compete in 4 games, right? Like
Sure,
if
sure.
you get the full package.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure as to the schedule right now. I would love to see how well I do in Dune Imperium, because I think I could do
Yep.
pretty well in that. I would also love to see how well I could do in Brass, even though I know Brass is like a really, really tough
Oh,
game.
Yeah.
boy.
I don't know. I feel like from watching good Brass players, I've picked up a lot of tips, and I feel like I've
Sure.
applied them pretty well to
Mhm.
my own Brass games. and so I would love to play that. But that would be just like I want to compete against like good brass players and see like how well I do and see if I get crushed, or not, and then maybe Raw. Maybe Raw as well. It's another game.
Raw.
Yeah, like Knizia's Raw, 21st Century Games version. Again, that's one that I've just been like, I think like Dune Imperium and Raw, those have like shot ahead in terms of games I really, really enjoy. And so it's like, I want to pick games that I like really, really like, and those are really on the upswing for me. And so even if I did lose, then I'd still be happy because I got to play some really good games of like games that I like, right? But I think Splendor would be my best bet.
That's your bet if like you could win one.
Yeah. Or if Catan was still in there, it would be Catan as well.
Oh.
But,
okay, how does like real competitive Catan work? Because trading is such a I'm specifically asking about the trading. Do people trade in competitive Catan?
No, yeah, it's an integral part of the game. And that's where I think I could get out on top.
I feel like I'd be so anxious to trade with anyone in Catan, right? Of like the worry that you're giving them a better deal. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The worry of giving someone the game via trading would stress me out a bunch.
I feel like whenever somebody gets like 8 points, then you no longer trade with them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then it just kind of comes down to dice rolls. But to jockey yourself into that position beforehand, that's the real sort of strategy and whatever. Or you sandbag and you stay at 7 and then you go boom, boom.
boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
like, I'm only at 6 points. Longest road, largest
road,
and one city. Thank you very much. I won.
Hexstar says you often try to trade with someone you think is behind in Catan if you're competitive. Yes, that makes total sense.
Yep.
Total sense.
And Bing says don't make a trade with the guy with the mustache. I agree.
Ever. You shouldn't. Never.
You shouldn't. But I'll make you a good deal, Bing. I'll make you a good deal, and I'll tell you what. If you want to use my sheep port, my Sheep No More is open for business, okay? And on my turn, if you have 2 sheep, you know what I'll do? You pass them my way, I'll turn them into whatever you want. Whatever you want, I'll send it back, and all you have to do is pay me 1 additional resource as a little tax. So you're getting a nice 3-to-1 trade. Everybody can do it. I'll just take a little tax, a little processing fee, and you don't need to worry about those resources. I'll just hold on to them, okay? We can make it work for everybody. All right, this sheep port is not mine, it's everybody's. And I want everyone to feel free that they can come to me with any deal that they'd like.
Okay, folks, there's the deal right there. Are you going to trust the guy with the evil twirly mustache or not? It's up to you. So someone was asking, I think it was Eric asking, what would Ray and Ruel play in the WSBG? So I've actually played last year, folks. I did enter a couple of ring games, and I was really excited to play Cascadia because I love Cascadia. And while we played, I've told the story before where I scored the greatest score I've ever had. It was over 100, which I never really do. And I was so excited, and I lost by 20 points. I was like, whoa. Next level Cascadia.
Yeah,
but
that'll get you.
Yeah, it was great though. I played against the one guy that beat our table. He went on to the final, I think. So I was rooting for him, but I don't think he won it. But I was very excited to play it, and I realized, whoa, there was a lot more to this game than I thought. But so that's the game I would pick. I would definitely do it again. I think I am going to enter 2 ring games this year, Chris, and I haven't decided yet. But
nice.
You mentioning Raw, I'm like, ooh, I like Raw.
Yeah, go for Raw.
You know?
Go for Raw. Raw's a fun. You can go on a run in Raw. One of the guys who was in the final table of Raw had never played Raw before in his life.
Oh, okay.
Ted.
Yeah.
Ted, and I friggin' love him. Yeah, he also made the final of Acquire, and he played like 3 games of that. He's like, I've had such an amazing weekend.
That's so cool. So maybe I'll play Raw this year.
Really
like, one of the friggin' best. Shout out to Ted. Like, I talked to him. He was like, listen, I just am having such a good time. He was like so soft-spoken. Like, and I just talked to him for so long. And I was like, listen, everything you've said to me, I'm like beaming with pride that you're saying it. Let me get our social media person over here and say it again to them. So that we can go for a testimonial.
Yeah.
Because it was just like really, shout out to Ted. You went on a run. You could be in the finals of Raw. Ruel.
That would be so much fun. What about you, Ray? What would you play in a tournament? Now, would you be interested in doing something like that, Ray, in a tournament setting?
I would love to. Ever since I started doing the show and hearing Chris talk about it makes me really, really want to do it. It's just a matter of like getting to the event and scheduling everything. But I'm going to go eventually. It sounds like just the coolest, just like all my favorite things about board gaming in one place, right? That the fact that event exists, I think is so cool. So I haven't done it yet, but I'd love to. To answer this question, I kind of need to know what the options are, because I could say hypothetically, like if I could pick any game, but I'm not familiar with the actual lineup, because that's a trickier question, right? Out of the games that are actually offered.
Yeah.
I can give you the lineup right now.
Yeah, and Chris, they replaced a few games this year. Is that correct?
Yeah. So last year, like we rotate in some every year.
Sure,
so last year we rotated out Patchwork, Gaia Project, Seven Wonders. Essentially, it's the ones that just don't get the most tickets. And then we brought in Heat, Arnak, and Earth, which I think was a really good swap, right?
Yeah.
Like just like in terms of representing like stuff. Okay, so here I'll give you the days, because there's 4 a day, so you can pick one from each of the 4. Sunday is Wingspan, Great Western Trail, Ticket to Ride, Heat.
Wingspan. Ray's doing Wingspan.
100%.
I feel like,
yeah.
You're doing Wingspan.
I am. Well, I don't know that I'd call myself humble. I'm humble-ish about most things. I'm not humble about how I can crush anyone in Wingspan. I will win that.
Yeah, you be the Wingspan champion.
Yeah.
You know what?
All right, and before you go on, chat, also give me your answers. So out of each set of 4 that Chris says, I want to see in chat which one you guys would pick. Yeah, I'm humble. I want to say I'm really humble, and I was like, I don't know if that's really accurate, but I'm the least humble about my Wingspan abilities. I'm very good at that game.
So what was the 4 again for Sunday? Wingspan?
Wingspan, Great Western Trail, Ticket to Ride, or Heat. And I might have to change mine because I said 4, but obviously I'm going to have a conflict with one. So I might pick Heat now, just because of the results of what happened when I faced off against Asker in our Heat.
Yeah.
Honestly, he helped me with some math, and I had to make a big swing for the fences. And let's just say maybe it panned out for me. It was a very good game of Heat, and I'm very glad that there is a recording of it.
So there's a recording of it, yeah.
Of the most glorious finish that I think you've ever seen in Heat. I'll hype that up. Coming back with the amount of boosts that I had to like push my luck and hit the numbers correctly. Oh, it was. I'm still thinking about it.
See, a lot of folks in chat are saying Ticket to Ride, which I feel like as much as I play Ticket to Ride, and as like I think I'm decent at Ticket to Ride, I think that would be the last one I'd pick, because I feel like it can be so swingy based on like the destinations that you get.
Yeah,
like
what you select.
I feel like that Ticket to Ride can be a hard game if you like don't get the draw of the cards you need. It can be hard to catch up and make up that gap. I mean, I guess if you're playing base like US Ticket to Ride, you can just do
US.
really long routes the entire game and like make up that point gap that way. But that variability in Ticket to Ride, I think, would stress me out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah, it was I was just looking at the Ticket to Ride game. I'm trying to go back in all the games and do like highlight reels and just like pick out my favorite moments. And so it was fun to see the speed of the Ticket to Ride game and people like going for more destination cards or not.
Ooh,
and how
I'd be really curious, to see how that shook out.
That was fun to look back. All right, Monday's fare is Ark Nova, Brass Birmingham, Lost Ruins of Arnak, or Raw.
Oh,
this is the easiest decision ever for me. Arnak, I've played so much of that game. I think I am good at that game, not by choice. Like I think I just got by default very good at Arnak. So 100%. I've also I've actually never played Brass. Is one of the classics I've actually never played. So that would be, I think, a nightmare to try to play that in a competition setting. I've never actually played it before. So Arnak is an easy slam dunk for me. Ark Nova might be, I don't know. I'm not very good at Ark Nova. Chad is saying Raw, Arnak, kind of split between those two choices, mostly in chat. What were the other two?
Ark Nova, Brass Birmingham, Arnak, Raw.
Got it.
That's that day, which is a good day. I would probably pick Raw because I'd want a better chance, and I would want to play Brass Birmingham, but I don't feel like I could. I don't know. You know what? I'm picking Brass Birmingham. Sorry, Raw. I'm going for it.
See, here's the thing. If I play Brass, I would totally. I do this every time I play Brass. I have to relearn the game because I always forget. Does beer teleport or not? Like, do you have to connect? I always forget that rule. So yeah, I'm at a disadvantage at Brass. So Raw is definitely my choice on that day.
Yeah,
all right, Tuesday is Earth, Dune Imperium, Acquire, or Azul.
Oh, quick story. I played Azul last year. And I thought I did fairly well, and I lost by 40 points.
Oh my, Ruel, what is this running theme with you? You're killing me. This is getting so sad.
I was like, I thought I was blocking people. I thought I was, making and then the guy who won.
I
I think he might have won the tournament. I forgot his name. Really nice.
It seems
gentleman.
like everyone Ruel loses to is the person
eventual
who won
champion.
the tournament, and I'm starting to doubt the validity of that claim. I think it just might be Ruel being like, "Oh yeah, but they probably won the tournament. Yeah, they won the tournament too."
I lost to the eventual champion. That's what it takes to beat me, folks.
That's awesome. I want you to completely scrap all the WSBG marketing testimonials you currently have and replace every single one with Ruel saying, "Man, I thought I did really well at this game. I lost by 100 points." I want that to be every single testimonial. Is just Ruel saying that about a different game.
But at least I lost to the champion. I lost to the champion, so it was okay.
Exactly. I can hold my head up high.
It's like a supercut of like Ruel, like Office style, really deadpan saying, being like, "I thought I was doing really well." And he went on to be the champion.
Oh my gosh. So
That's awesome.
what are people playing here? We got Acquire, Earth. What else?
I think I'd go Azul for this. I've played the most Azul out of all of these, and my downfall will be Swift. It's a short game.
Oh,
So I'm not doing well. Be over fast.
I'm 3 for 3 and guessing yours, Ray, out of this lineup. I was unsure between Earth and Azul, but I was like, nah, I'm going for Azul in my mind. So
Yeah, I think that'd be my pick.
I don't know if I know the next one though, the Wednesday. Oh, Ruel, which one was yours for this day? Azul.
Well,
you lost to the champ.
I've lost to the champ, so yeah.
You know the champ might lose, and then you'll be able to take it. Yeah. And then final day is Terraforming Mars, Castles of Burgundy, Cascadia, Splendor.
Whoa. Wait, Castles of Burgundy, Splendor, Cascadia,
and Terraforming Mars.
Ooh,
like OG
I think I know what Ray's gonna pick.
With Prelude.
You think you know what I'm gonna say? I don't know what I'm gonna say.
I think I know
what Ruel's gonna say, and then I don't know what Ray's gonna say. I don't think I know it. I'm gonna put Ruel and Ray in the same one, but I think I'm wrong.
I think I know yours, Chris, out of these 4 if you wanted to play.
This became a very interesting meta game.
Yeah.
Chris is now guessing our guesses. Or our pick.
Well, yeah, I like guessing.
I'm really torn between 2, is what I'll say.
Oh, I think I got both of yours, Ray. In fact, I'm gonna call it right.
It's the middle 2. You're torn between, right? Cascadia and Castles of Burgundy.
I think. All right. Do you have your locked? You have your locked in guess for what I'm gonna say.
I'm locked in.
It's the same for Ruel as well.
Okay.
I am gonna say I think I'd go Cascadia on this one.
Oh.
But I was gonna say Terraforming Mars would have been my second choice. I'm pretty good at Terraforming Mars, but I haven't played the OG original game. I play so much Ares Expedition that I think I would. The strategy kind of doesn't always translate between those 2 games, and I think my head would be too much into like the cards that show up in Ares Expedition and stuff. I'm not as familiar with the deck of original Terraforming Mars as I used to be, and I play a lot of Cascadia, so I'm very good at like spatial games like that. So I feel like if I was really going for a win, I would go for Cascadia. But it would be really fun to play Terraforming Mars in a competitive setting. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. That's what I thought you would pick. I thought you would pick Terraforming Mars. And actually, Chris, I thought you would pick Terraforming Mars too out of these 4.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I would like to. I'd like to try it out, but it's just I got to go for Splendor. I think Splendor's my best bet, and so Splendor's there. I thought I put you both in Castles of Burgundy. That's what I did.
That's mine for sure. Mine 100% is Castles of Burgundy. And actually, this year, Chris, that's the one game I know for sure I want to do the ring game for. Castles of Burgundy. Because I know even if I lose, I'll probably lose to the eventual champion.
You'll probably lose to the eventual champ. So,
that's okay.
That's awesome. No, I like Castles of Burgundy, but I'm not a big Castles of Burgundy girly. I like it, but some people who like Castles of Burgundy love that game, and I've never quite understood it on that level.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty beige, I guess is the word. It's just
beige.
Like
I love a beige game.
Yeah, it's like that old school Euro. Doesn't look too exciting, but I love it. Imagine Eric, let's play online, folks. I will totally play you online on BGA. Give me some practice and.
100 games.
Help me lose at the WSBG to the eventual champion. I would be happy to do that.
Ruel will, it sucks you always get that first round draw, just a bad draw.
I know.
You just end up linked up with you. But at least if you are playing in WSBG and your first round is against Ruel, you know you're gonna win.
Yeah,
You know,
that's the
yeah,
strategy.
that's
Get
the
into my game.
premonition.
You're gonna win.
That's the strategy. Yeah, find out which games Ravel's competing in and enter those because you will be the eventual champion.
Yes. So definitely Castles of Burgundy, maybe Raw. I haven't decided yet. Raw is on what day, Chris? Is that Tuesday or Monday?
The second day.
Second
Monday.
day. Okay, Monday. Because I think that's when I show up to town. Yeah. Okay.
That's a fun little thought experiment though. I like that. Like picking out of 4, like which one would you do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sad that Seven Wonders got bumped because Seven Wonders would have been like my overarching pick.
That's your
I think I have a little bit of hubris with Seven Wonders. I think I'm better than I am, but I couldn't resist the urge to like definitively prove am I as good at this game as I think I am.
We had a couple designers enter Seven Wonders. I think John D. Clare competed in Seven Wonders, and Matthias Viga, designer of Arc Nova, made the final table. Of Seven Wonders.
Wow!
Didn't make the final table of Arc Nova, but
yeah,
wow,
that's hilarious.
Seven Wonders. Yeah,
that's funny.
Dang,
cool. Okay, yeah, why don't we move on? Anything else before we get going with the show?
I think we should get into the show. I was just seeing our time.
We always end up doing this. We just chat, which is great. Let's set everyone out into a battle royale first, folks. If you have one of those little, if you'd like one of those little avatars, you can subscribe to the channel and get one. And before each show, we drop y'all in. You duke it out for extra points to spend on your characters. And while they're doing that, I'm going to start setting up stuff on the back end here for the show.
Yeah.
As these characters battle each other to the death in the most glorious death match that ever did die.
Wow.
Or battle royale that ever did royale. I feel pretty confident.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah, keep hanging out, chat, and tell me funny things that I can then take credit for while we're doing our list. I definitely did last time. It was John Tripp said a funny line, and I was like, gonna steal that. And then everyone laughed, and I said, ha ha ha, I'm creative and original. And it was not me. It was John Tripp. But I can steal your jokes too.
Yes, everyone. Let Chris steal jokes.
All right, who's still in the match, Ruel? I can't see anybody.
Oh, sorry.
I can see them. We got 3 people. We got 2 people.
And Imaginaric. Okay, 2 of our regulars here.
Ooh, all right. Imaginaric says your fighting style needs work. No, you're winning.
Go.
It's versus
fight.
Feldfan.
I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon, Imaginaric. I spoke too soon. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Imaginaric.
Congrats, Feldfan.
Yeah, congrats, Feldfan. And hey, Imaginaric, you just lost to the eventual champion. I know the feeling. So
you know what? There you go.
Okay.
Very good, Ruel.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. I'm gonna turn off the avatars for now, folks. We'll be back during the post show. Let me make sure we've got our browser screen all set up. There's gonna be our sponsor here. Okay, that is good to go. And
do we have a sponsor ad read at the beginning?
Rahdo, Richard has recorded a video. I'll play that.
I was just gonna grab some water and I'll do it during that.
Yeah. If you want to grab water now, that's cool, right? We can wait because I'm gonna fiddle around with some of the things here. So we got this. Ray is.
Well, Alone Shark says steal that joke later. Ruel won't remember he said it. Yeah.
Totally. Chris is lost to the eventual champion. I'm really looking forward to this year's WSBG, Chris. I was just talking to Jake Michaels of Good Time Society, and he will be there as well for I think 2 days. And Chris, Jake knows I've said this about him before. He's the greatest gamer I've ever played against. Seriously,
really?
I've lost more games to Jake Michaels than anyone else I've ever played games with. I'm serious, especially my favorite game, Twilight Imperium. I kid you not, he's won at least half of the games I've played in Twilight Imperium.
Wow.
That's
insane. A pretty big feat on such like a sprawling game.
Right? It is.
Like having consistent win rate on that. Yeah. That's pretty good.
He's so good at he always I don't know what he can play either. At least in Twilight Imperium, he'll either get out to a big lead and win the game, or he does these sneaky moves and ends up scoring like 3 points at the very end. Like, what the heck did you do? It's insane. I love it though. Hey, we're getting rated by Penelope Gaming. Thank you, Penelope Gaming, for rating us.
Woo.
With a party in 92. Let us know what you've been up to. You are watching the pre-show for the R&R show here on Rahdo Runs Through. We're going to be talking about our top games of 2024 so far. And let us know what you've been up to in chat. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome on in.
Hello, bonjour.
Oh, bonjour. Oh, that's all I can say is bonjour. And I will leave the rest of the French speaking to Chris. We have another host as well. Ray, she'll be right back.
Yeah, Ray will be right back, and then we're going to get started in talking about our top games of 2024. And these are the games, well, we'll say it again, but these games had to have been released officially in 2024 as well. Mm-hmm. So it keeps you current and keeps you ready to go out and get the good ones that nobody else will tell you to get.
Yes. I feel like this time there was a lot of crossover. Maybe because there were... seeing the final list, I was like, oh, I had this, and this, and this on my list, and they were all there. So really cool to see that.
Raid.
Yeah, we just got raided by Penelope Gaming.
Hi. That's very nice.
So thank you, friends. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the Twitch stuff for now because we're going to record this for YouTube while y'all are watching. And then at the end, we will do a post show. We'll be hanging out with y'all talking about a bunch of other games as well. So, okay. And I'm good on my end. Chris and Ray, how are we feeling?
Let's rock and roll.
All right, let's do this. All right, so
I'm gonna and roll.
We will rock it and roll it. And then let's get this ready here. Okay, and here we go.
Hey everybody, this week's R&R is brought to you by Imperfect Crimes, the pop-up escape book. And folks, let me tell you, this is something very special, but you don't want to wait on it. It's crowdfunding right now on Kickstarter, links down in the show notes, and it's only going to be live for one more week. So if you like escape rooms, or just even the idea of doing an escape room in your home, you have to check this out because this so takes it to the next level. It's a pop-up book full of different pages representing different crime scenes that you can explore. And there are so many fun ideas woven into this. You know, secret things you find as you investigate, but you also use special tools like magnifying glasses to look more closely and try and find all the clues you're looking for. But not just analog stuff, there are digital elements as well. The game has an app that represents a teammate back at Police HQ who is working with you to solve the crimes, and there's a lot of multimedia elements to the game also. Like you could actually make phone calls and hear recordings. You can go to websites and look up information about the crime scene. There is so much going on here. And the publisher, Key Enigma, this is not their first rodeo. They've been doing this for years. And this is, I believe, their third pop-up escape room book. And right now, if you want to check out this campaign, the latest one and all of their previous games are available to you. This Crime Unfold series is so neat, so clever, so unlike anything else out there in the industry. I have to admit, we were kind of done with escape rooms, but this one is going to pull us back in because of the unrivaled cool factor that you get with it. And folks, like I said, it's only live for 7 more days. So check out the links down in the show notes if you would like to know more. And that's the Imperfect Crimes pop-up escape book. Let's get on with the show.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the R&R Show. This is episode 94. My name's Ruel. As always, we're joined by Chris and Ray, and we hope you're doing well. We were really excited to do this list. Ray, how are you? You were back last time. I was going to say welcome back, but you were back already.
Yeah. You can just ask me again. It's fine. Yeah, we don't have to acknowledge Chris's presence here.
Welcome back.
I did great, Will. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And Chris, your mustache is really, it's on fire these days. I mean, that thing is perfect. Not literally.
Yeah, that's why Ray is the better host. That's why we care about Ray. That's why we ask. Yeah, that's what the R stands for. The Ruse and Ray show. Ray's ruses. That's what we're here for.
Yes. You know what? That game that is sponsored us this week, the Noir Enigma, and their game, Imperfect Crimes that Richard just talked about.
Key Enigma.
Sorry. Yeah. they've done this really cool thing with Imperfect Crimes. You can see here, folks, on the Kickstarter page. The campaign ends July 8th. I didn't know anything about this until we saw it here, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks fantastic. I mean, just the use of a pop-up book for a escape room. I mean, how genius is that?
Yeah. No, I love this. Go ahead.
No,
Chris.
no. Go. You go.
Okay.
We're just so excited. We're so excited to talk about it.
I know. I really like escape room games. I'm a big fan of the Exit series by Cosmos, but one of my biggest sticking points with that series has always been that, like, thematically, it's kind of hard to explain the sense that you're in an escape room doesn't always carry through. Like, they have good puzzles, but I never really feel like I'm like interacting with a space the way you do with an escape room. I feel like I'm doing a series of arguably very good puzzles, but I don't feel like I'm in an escape room. So this 3D element, this pop-up thing, very, very cool. I feel like it might be also more beginner friendly as well. Not to compare it to Exit too much, but sometimes I find that like concept of what you're doing in Exit a little bit cerebral, a little bit hard to explain to newcomers. This seems very tactile, very clear. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. It looks awesome.
Yeah. What I really like about this one, I'm mad at myself because I missed it on my Monday crowdfunding countdown. But usually I highlight Key Enigma's stuff. Like I remember their name because usually their stuff looks cool. Like they've done this for a while. This is their 7th one on Kickstarter. Wow. I remember their Kalinasu, their immersive escape adventure. I thought that one looked really neat too. That was like Mayan or like archaeology style. But the idea of having this physical, like this tactile little pop-up book is cool. I've seen it replicated in a game called The Shivers, which I wasn't as big of a fan of, but I think like what this does nicely is that they are like these separate entities. They're not trying to add like 5 different puzzles into one room. They have like different room, and then that they can all tie in together into one larger one. That's what I think is exciting about this one.
Yes,
that's cool.
Yeah, agreed. And I just, you hit for me the key word, tactile, right? I really think it's a really cool thing, the tactile, and having the app go along with it, and I feel like that's going to increase the replayability because then you can start doing different clues or whatnot with the app. So very cool.
I wanted to point out the multimedia element of it is one of my favorite things. I love when games do that, when you get to like call someone and there's actually like a recording on the other end or something. It's one of my favorite things. Like that I remember the first time I ever experienced a game that did that. It was in a video game called Kentucky Route Zero, where there's a phone number. And we're like, can we call that? And then we did, and there was like a real like recorded phone tree you could do. That kind of stuff. Like is what makes me feel like a kid again. That sort of stuff. That element of discovery, of breaking the bounds of what you can do in a game. Oh, love it.
Yes. So, folks, be sure to check that out. Now on Kickstarter until July 8th, and it has already been fully funded. So we're going to be able to see that game real soon, and that is King Enigma, the game Imperfect Crimes. Now, we've got a bunch of games that we're going to talk about today, and if you don't know, we record this live on Twitch, and we have an extended edition where we talk about even more games, so be sure to click on links below for that. But right now, what you've got is our top 12, and these are games that have been released in 2024. I think that's pretty much the criteria we're looking at for this episode. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's all I did.
Yeah.
That's same.
2024, and I have played them.
Oh,
those are my criteria.
All right. So
these are the best game. It releases December 2024, and I've only seen the minis.
Well, I only say that because I want to kind of stipulate this with like reminding everyone that I am not like a reviewer. I work for a publisher, so I don't get to play the volume of games that like some other people sometimes get to. And so I typically am late to these kind of lists, like these like best of 2024. The summer months are so busy with all these conventions, right? Like we're so focused on our own games that I don't really get to some of those big hot games until like November, December, when like things slow down. I'm able to like be around family and play these games. So I just want to put an asterisk on my list of like my end of the year list might be a little bit more like robust and like inclusive of everything. This is just stuff that I've had the chance to actually play. Because it's hard for me to get that first 6 months of games. It's like it comes so quickly, and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't played anything. Oh Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, things move quickly in the board game industry, but we will get to it, folks, in just a second. Okay. Let's start with Chris with our number 12. What do you have for us, my friend?
Absolutely. Well, and if you also want a peek into what Ray's obsessed with, and a peek into Ray's obsessions and knowledge and mastery, well, we had Ray rank some op titles in the pre-show, so you should go check those out. Get the inside scoop
Yes.
of somebody who works there, what their favorite ones are. We talked about a bunch of the fun ones again in the pre-show. But my number, I'm really excited to have this on the list because way back in, I don't know, 2023, 2022, we usually do like biggest disappointments of a year and then like best of a year, right? And so one of this sort of sister title of this was on my biggest disappointments. I don't know if it was 2023 or 2022, but I am thrilled that this is on my therefore biggest excitements of the year, because like I feel like I played this game system in the right conditions, and that's Unmatched Sun's Origin. So it's a new set from Unmatched. Unmatched is a bunch of different sets, and I think I played the Daredevil versus Bullseye one. And no, sorry, Bullseye versus Luke Cage, and that one it sucked because I teleported next to Bullseye and I just punched him in the face over and over, and he couldn't do anything because I was so defensively strong. And I was like, well, this game was horrible. And then I got together with a buddy of mine recently. We were hanging out, and he really likes Unmatched. He's a lot of different sets. And so we played this. We played the Jurassic Park one where he was the dinosaur and I was the two professors, Jeff Goldblum, and the other one,
famous Professor Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, famous professor, dinosaur researcher Jeff Goldblum. And I laid down on his couch with my shirt open while we played. You know, it was great. Of course. It was a beautiful night. It was very nice. We took our relationship we really solidified our friendship in that moment. But this one, Sun's Origin, was also a really real highlight for me because I really like when like there's a lot of IP characters based sort of games, and I really like when a company like Unmatched will go sort of off the popular characters of the time. So these I think are just two generals in Japan or something. I had one where I had two like little mini minions, and my buddy Ryan had one where he was like more ranged, and so it felt very satisfying. It was very satisfying when I ran him into a corner and like pinned him in with the minions. I just felt the dynamic nature of playing Unmatched, and I was like, this is why people like this game. Like, this is why people enjoy it. I can see, like, it was so satisfying to like really enjoy myself. It took like 20-30 minutes to play, but I just like had a really, really nice time with this set in particular. And then when I saw it was 2024, it was a new release, I was like, oh, no way, great. This gives me an excuse to talk about it, because I'm really happy to have that as a juxtaposition of like my previous experience with Unmatched, and then returning to it, because oftentimes too, like I'll have a bad experience with a game if I play it, and then I won't return to it because I'm like, nah, that sucked. I was like, oh, I played it as a demo. I'm like, why would I ever want to return to this game? But then returning to it, which is like, it was my friend Ryan's one of his favorite like styles, and I was like, yeah, let's play it, let's have fun. And then like being able to have fun with it was just like really, really delightful. So nice. Yeah, shout out to Unmatched. It was I got to see what the system had to offer, and I was very happy that I did.
Yeah, great choice. I love the Unmatched series, and I'm with you, Chris. Some of the sets don't hit with me for whatever reasons, but some of them really do. I have not played this one, but I'm looking forward to it. I think the last one I played or the most recent game I played was with the it was like the Sherlock Holmes themed one, I think. Yeah. That with the Invisible Man. That's
the only one I've played.
That one's fun.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of it, just using the cards for movement and combat, and it really is a quick game, but it's genius in how streamlined it is, and you can knock it out in 30 minutes or so and have a really fun time with it. Yeah.
Best line of sight mechanic ever.
Yes.
Just the colors. There's the colors on the map, and you're like, oh, are you in this color? I can hit you. Not in this color, I can't.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That's such a great point. Yeah, that's because normally,
Can you see the colors okay, Ruel? Because I know you're a bit colorblind.
Yeah, I think aren't there like little icons or like different backgrounds for the colors in that one? Because I know that maybe. So I haven't
didn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I did not have an issue because I have almost all the Unmatched. By the way, I recently got the Bruce Lee Unmatched character, which has been out of print for years. One of my my oldest gaming buddies just gifted it to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, they saved me like $150 to $200 just for this one character. So I cannot wait to play that one. But yeah, I'm looking at the board right now. We have it up here. I think I can see all those fine, and I think they are like different. The shades are just right, and I do believe that they have some kind of icons or different patterns in the background. So
yeah, and if you didn't struggle with it, I mean
yeah,
that says something.
yeah, really really enjoy that game. Ray, you're a fan of Unmatched? Have you played recently?
I haven't played much of it. I've
Okay.
just a couple of work buddies of mine have that Sherlock version that we sometimes play when I go out to the office, but that's the only. I'm not a big I don't know, like the heroes and the characters that are in it. I'm not big into IP games in general, just
Yep.
personally for my own free time. So it never called to me initially, but I did play that Sherlock version with my coworkers a few times, and I've always really enjoyed.
Oh, nice.
Really enjoyed it. I don't own it personally, but
Yeah.
yeah.
One of my favorite.
I will always and forever have a very soft spot in my heart for Unmatched because I saw two people get proposed to over Unmatched at
What?
Unplugged last year.
Oh.
Oh yes, no, I was walking by the booth and Sue saw me and she was like, "You just like be quiet and watch these two right here." And I'm so glad she flagged me down because I'm
Nice.
such a sap, I'm such a romantic. And there was some special card where he had her like close her eyes or something, and they got engaged. And I was crying at the club at like 10 a.m. like the Friday of PAX Unplugged. So it'll always have a very special place in my heart because of that.
That's great. I love that. Okay, well, I don't have a story that'll top that, but I do have our number 11 game right now, and this one, like within, actually, I'm going to tell the story. Back at Gamma Expo earlier this year, someone on this stream, that's right next to me in the box here, gave a demo of this game, and right then and there, I was like, okay, this is something right in my wheelhouse. It's my jam. And then when I actually got to play it, I played it several times, and it is our number 11, Gnome Hollow. One of my favorite games of this year so far. It is absolutely fantastic. This is Michelle and I playing, and right here, and look at this board. Those are magnets, folks. There are magnets in the player board. Yeah. That alone really endeared me to this game. And they work, yes. In Gnome Hollow, it is it's a tile placement game, tile laying game. You're also managing resources and you're doing a little worker placement. So it's got all kinds of stuff that I like in games. But it also has this beautiful artwork that's done by the designer of the game as well, Alman Anderson, designer and artist of the game. And just everything about this just flows really well. So you're placing tiles, trying to complete the little mushroom trails. And as you do, you're going to collect different types of mushrooms in order to go to the market and get those turned into treasures, which are points, of course. So it's got this really cool thing of like, when do you time, when to do certain things. And Michelle and I noticed, like, as we're going along the game is really, really cool, really fun. Then towards the end of the game, it's like, oh my gosh, I can do so much cool stuff here. I don't want this game to end. And I love that about any game where you're having so much fun, you're finding out the combos just right, and you're getting to the point where like, okay, this game's going to end soon, but I don't want to. And I think that, to me, is like the best endorsement of any game where you're going through it, and whether it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours, or whatever, you're like, I don't want this to end. I want to continue because I'm having so much fun. And Gnome Hollow skyrocketed on top of my list. It's right now, I think, it's actually one of my top 3 games of 2024 so far. And I think it's wonderful. It is a family weight game, but I'd say probably just a step up from family weight, because there are a couple of moving parts here, especially with trying to time when you go to the market to get the the most points for turning your goods. But boy, oh boy, Michelle and I really love this. I'm keeping an eye on the BGG forum, so you bookmark stuff. And I'm keeping an eye because I feel like someone could make a solo version for me, and I would totally stream that as well. So, anyways, I love everything about Gnome Hollow. That's why it's our number 11 on the list. From the up, Gnome Hollow. Hey, Ray, do you got anything to say about this game?
I have a lot to say about this game.
Heard about this, Ray?
Yeah, we talked about this in the pre-show a little bit about favorite games from the op, and this was what I at gunpoint decided was my favorite. It was under duress, but I said that this was my favorite. This is such a great pick, Ruel. Obviously, I'm biased. This is going to be one of our really big Gen Con releases coming from the op. But it's so good, and I loved what you said about kind of like the pacing of this game, how it really does ramp up. I demoed this game a lot to folks at Origin, so I got a lot of experience showing this game to people for the first time, which let me just say, it will never get old for me to not tell people about the magnetic boards and
Yes.
then, move them or something during the game. Like I love during setup, I have them all set up and I got to successfully pull this off like 5 times where I go, hey, could you hand me your board real quick? And they go to like move their pieces off and I go, no, it's fine. And I just pick it up with all those little nubbins on it. And then the look in their eyes, they go, wait, what did you just do? I love it.
That's great.
Fun, like magic moment as a demoer because it's so simple. It doesn't affect the gameplay, but it's just this level of quality and polish that's really fun. And I really am excited to see what the industry does with this concept because it's never really been done before. This concept of magnetic player boards instead of dual layered or something else, right? So I love that, and I also love the pacing of this game because there's almost inevitably a moment where people are like, I don't really have a lot of like good placement spots. I can't really use these tiles. And then by the end, especially in a full 4-player game, you end up with this garden that is just so massive and sprawling. And there's all these little paths you can follow and you can complete. And it's just a really satisfying arc, which is something I really look for in a game, a good ramp up, good pacing. So yeah, great pick, Rule. Thank you for picking it so I I don't have to.
I think
it's a great choice.
It had
also, it was on my short list as well, right?
Okay,
like
cool.
there is not like if it wasn't going to be on Ruel's, it was going to be on mine. And that's a testament. I'm so excited to get a copy and to do that to people who I teach it to now.
It's so magic.
I'm
It's so
friggin'
fun.
thrilled. I think people really do need to keep a watch for this game. It's like so easy, so accessible, and it's interesting enough. I find family games sometimes to be uninteresting personally.
Yep.
And so
Totally
when
valid.
Rose like, it's a family game, I was like, no, it's not. Like myself and my neighbor and not friend Yuval played this, and we were like, okay, how can we block each other? How can we do this? And we were playing with Ray, and Ray was like, I've never seen two people like be so like just objectively mean to each other on the board, like tactically with this, but like it can happen. I was like, oh, I really enjoyed playing it that way in terms of being like strategic and cutthroat, and
totally.
I think this is going to be a friggin' smash hit.
We're really excited for
Spiel nominee contender. Like it's really good. And I'm excited to review it because I was like, it's one of those things where I was like, hey Ray, you want to put me in touch with people so that I can review it and give it a good review just because I want it in my collection. That's what I did. I was like, please, I want this like immediately. Like I want a copy right now. I want to play it with people.
You hedged it for a while because we weren't sure if the magnets were going to be in it because I showed you that early prototype that had the magnets, and for the longest time you kept being like, Ray, are the magnets confirmed? And I was like, I don't know because they are expensive, right? So for a long time we were like, you really want to include this because this is something that the designer himself had in his first prototype. Like this wasn't something that came from us. This came from the designer. We worked really long and hard to figure out how to actually get it into the final product. So once I said that, then you were in my DMs being like, hey, Ray.
Well, who knows the timeline of these sorts of things? Who can tell? Who knows the timeline?
Ray's got receipts.
But I do think you're going to have a lot of fun demoing that and not telling people about the magnets.
That's awesome.
Enjoy.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So that's number 11, Gnome Hollow. Moving right along to number 10, and Ray's got this choice.
All right, so my number 10 is Wormspan, which I know I talked about in my most anticipated games, and that was before I had played it. Very happy to say that I like this game a lot. I'm a big fan of Wormspan. If you're unfamiliar, this is the standalone kind of sister game to Wingspan. It carries through a lot of the bones of Wingspan with the resource management and the engine building, but it obviously has a different theme, which I think is very fun. It's not going to be for everyone. It has a very different art style as well. But in this game, you are dragonologists who are studying and enticing dragons to come live in your local caves, I guess. But the things I like about what this does is first and foremost the art. Not that I don't like the Wingspan art. I think that makes sense for a game that's based in reality to have very hyper realistic art. But I love this watercolor kind of sketchy style that they do in Wormspan. I think it's really stunning. I also love that this is a standalone game. It is not an expansion. A lot of the stuff, because it does obviously share those bones of Wingspan, a lot of the things that were implemented in this game could have somehow been an expansion or two, right? Like that guild track and stuff. There are things that this game does that I could see in some universe Stonemaier making into an expansion or something. And as someone who is a big Wingspan fan, as we talk about actually in the pre-show how much I love this game, I am getting a little bit burnt out on the expansions. I'm kind of like, I like my Wingspan. I like where it's at. Some of the expansions have been kind of hit or miss for me. I'm done with more Wingspan content. I like that game where it is. And I'm very happy that they chose to go this route, right? I know a lot of people were kind of confused or upset at the concept of this game existing. And I'm personally a big fan of this because it does functionally feel like a different experience. And I like that it is a standalone separate thing than Wingspan. Other things I like about this is I like the action economy in this game. I wouldn't say I necessarily like it more than Wingspan, but it does a good job of effectively feeling different than Wingspan. So I wouldn't make a value judgment on which I like more, but in Wingspan, you have these action cubes, right? And so everyone has the same number of turns, and as the game goes on, you have fewer and fewer of those cubes. In Wormspan, your action economy is based around these coins, which you can get more of, and you always have the same number every round. So the pacing is very different, and there's a really interesting action economy that I like and I think feels different than Wingspan. I also like that all the food types are available. There's none of that dice rolling, which is again a fun thing about Wingspan, but can be very frustrating when you effectively waste a turn because you're not getting the food dice rolls that you want. Can be I find it to be kind of an unfun element of base game Wingspan. I also really like the layout of the rows. So those that classic Wingspan, there's 3 habitats. This is kind of a small thing, but I do a lot of teaching games to new people. The theming around these caves makes so much more sense than the non-theming in Wingspan. I have a really hard time teaching people the concept of that engine building, right? You're going to be laying these birds out in this habitat, and then you're going to take this cube and you're going to put it to the back of the line, and then you're going to run it down. That concept is hard for new players. And this concept that they do in Wormspan is you are excavating caves left to right. You are enticing dragons to live in those caves, and then you take an explorer who traverses the caves left to right until, oops, there's no more caves. And that just makes so much more sense, and it's teaching it a lot easier. And there's also, with that row system, there's kind of a built-in economy around it where it gets more expensive to do the same row multiple times, which can help with sort of the egg spamming that you see in base game Wingspan, where if you just build up one engine, you just run it over and over again. Yep. This disincentivizes you from doing that. You can still do it, but you have to really pay up for it and invest in it. So overall, I wouldn't say I necessarily like this more or less than Wingspan. I just think it's a really solid standalone spiritual successor to Wingspan.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I have not played this yet, and it's been on my list for this year because of all, I know a lot of people that really enjoyed this, Ray, and it is, I like the fact that you go left to right doing the action. I don't know, just that one little change for me. I was like, okay,
it's so little, but oh boy, howdy.
Right? It just, it just, yeah, and I do like the art. I like the original artwork of Wingspan, but I also appreciate this one too. I think it's solid, and I'm looking forward to giving it a shot.
Yeah, definitely interested. I like that the actions get harder. Yeah, they get more difficult to do, and I think that's the twist that mechanically makes me interested to try it over Wingspan.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see what Richard's got for us next. Richard's got number 9.
All right, let's get going. 2024 has been pretty good so far. I had about 28 games to pick from that I considered to narrow it down to the top ones so far, and I'll get to mine in a second. But Chris, a new Unmatched, Sons Origins? Sounds cool. I've never gotten a chance to play Unmatched. I so desperately want to try it as a co-op game someday, and maybe I'll throw Sons Origin in as well. Let's see. Well, Gnome Hollow. I am very excited to try this one, and I'm very jealous of you that you've got your hands on it. I saw a prototype of it last year, and it looked so clever, so smart. I imagine this might make some folks' top 10 of the year, although, again, I can't personally comment because I have not gotten a chance to play it yet. Dropping a hint for Ray there. Let's see. Oh, and speaking of Ray, Wormspan. Oh, I am so sorry, Ray, that we have to agree to disagree. Wormspan is probably my biggest disappointment of the year so far. Not that it isn't a really smartly designed game, but for me personally, it is such a step down from the design of the original Wingspan. I mean, I guess it's a lateral step, and I already talked about this in the last roundup I did, in my Rahdo roundup. But it just takes everything Wingspan does so well and just kind of gums it up a little bit and adds complexity, which just wasn't necessary, and at the same time just hampers the best thing about Wingspan, which is the wonderful building of engines. It gets much harder to build engines now, and then the continual running of engines. It gets much harder to run your engines now. I love the look of it. I think it's very pretty, and some of the ideas are very, very cool. And it's not in any way, shape, or form a bad game. If I'd never played Wingspan, I'd probably rate this higher. But for my taste, it's got to be them birds. Let's see. But now, let's get to number 9 on the list, which I was already excited about going in, and I know you were too. You must not have played it yet, I guess, because otherwise it may very well have made your list. Number 9 on the top 12 is Cities. Although, actually, looking at it again, Ruel, I know you're colorblind. Can you tell the difference between the red and the green buildings down there in the bottom left? That is the one blemish on an otherwise absolutely amazing little game here from hopefully we'll be seeing this design duo again, Phil Walker Harding and Steve Finn, the two of them, two of the best designers out there for making elegant, fast-playing, streamlined Euro games. Well, working together, they make one of the high marks of, I think, both of their careers. This is a SimCity-inspired game, where you're working on one of 9 different buildings or cities around the world, and it's just a very simple, fast drafting game where you're drafting tiles to expand your suburb of the city. You are drafting buildings of 4 different types to put on those cities. You're drafting little features to be able to put inside the different sections, and you are drafting point scoring cards. And I mean, it sounds simple, but it is deep and fun and just a blast. Probably, I think the thing that elevates it more than anything else is, unlike the vast majority of games like this, it is really strongly thematically grounded, and I really appreciate that. It seems more and more these days I find myself bemoaning the fact that designers just won't do the extra bit of work to try to make the thing thematically, their games thematically grounded. They say, oh, it's just random people on a card. Who cares who they are? Oh, it's just a random scoring objective. Who cares why you're doing it? You're just trying to do this various thing. But here, all the different scoring objectives are thematic. If I take this card, I know what it is I'm trying to build. I mean, this is probably the most thematic SimCity style building game since Suburbia, a decade ago? And it's absolutely fantastic. And really, the only big problem with it, and it is a major one, and it breaks my heart, because I know you're colorblind, and I know you love Phil Walker Harding and Steve Finn as much as I do, but you'll have to get out your Sharpies, I think, to be able to mark all the red buildings or something like that. But except for that one blemish, Cities from publisher DeVere is phenomenal. One of DeVere's best designed games over the last few years, and they've had some real bangers. And Cities is number 9.
Wow, I have been so fired up about Cities, and that is such a letdown, Richard. Thank you for letting me know. But you know what? I'm still going to get it. I'm still going to play it because I've got a wife who's got, not 20/20 vision, but she's not colorblind, so she's going to help me out. I'll say, Michelle, what's red, what's green, and I will take that Sharpie and write down on each tile what's red and what's green. I love this design duo, Phil Walker Harding, praise be, and Steve Finn. They do wonderful games, and I'm so thrilled that this made the list because I can't wait to play it.
Yeah. I mean, when you say SimCity or like anything like that, that is my absolute jam. I just haven't had the pleasure of playing it yet, but it is on my list for sure.
I mean, it's a DeVere game. Enough said.
Yeah.
DeVere don't miss.
Yeah,
DeVere don't miss.
They've just been
That's just
absolutely
it.
crushing
They
it
rock.
lately.
They're rocking it.
They really do.
Yep.
I want to just get their entire catalog, and I think I'll be very happy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm literally like putting it in my cart right now, so I don't keep forgetting. It's really bothering me. Every time you talk about it, I'm like, man, that sounds good. And I just keep forgetting to actually get it.
Love it. Okay, so thank you, Richard. Let's go on back to Chris for number 8.
All right, my number 8. Again, I was surprised that this is 2024 because I think I played it when it was on Kickstarter. I got to play an earlier copy, and I kept my little retail version copy from this company that usually does deluxified games. Speaking of magnets, we have Fractured Sky.
Yeah.
Fractured Sky has some magnets in there, and they're
Nice.
completely unnecessary. Everything about the deluxe version is completely
Love it.
unnecessary, but it doesn't make it any less fun. I respect it. I know, but you can pay double to have the same product, just in with cooler little ships. But the core of the gameplay is actually what I really like. It kind of reminds me, it gives me Raw vibes a bit, and that should be high praise in
Yes.
terms of the idea of bidding. Right, but this one you are doing blind bids. You are bluffing what you are bidding in certain areas, and there's a bunch of hidden information. I don't know why it actually gives me Raw vibes. It shouldn't, but it's a similar tension of like, are you going there? Do you really want to go there? Do you really want to be bidding now, or are you trying to entice me to bid there and to bid higher than I need to? I think that's what it is. You're going to play over 5 rounds. Starfall is going to fall every round. More and more is going to fall each round. In certain places, but those places are hidden, and you can use resources to look at where they're at, or you can try to like read the board as to where people are who have knowledge are going and what they're investing their time in. And so I think it's really slick. If you win the battle, you get a point. If you come second in the battle, you get resources. And you can use those resources to build additional outposts, which can add strength to future battles or give you more resources. There are essentially 2 ways to play it, like either go for a lot of strength or either go for a lot of resources, which gives you a lot of knowledge. And so finding out the hidden knowledge, planning for the objectives in the long run, I think it's super, super slick, really cool game. Like everything from cheapy old me, I think it's highly overproduced, as Ivy Studios does. But I still like, I gotta give them credit. Like every Ivy Studios game I've played, I've thought, oh, this does not need to be this deluxified, but I still really, really like it, and I like it enough that it doesn't bother me as much as it would in like another company.
Yeah.
I just have to interject, just as someone like in marketing for board games, it is fascinating to me that they've been able to do that. That like they've been able to over deluxify their games and not offer a cheaper option and have that just be fine. Like they've instilled that so deeply into their brand that they get away with it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a that's actually fascinating kind of way, because that is something over deluxifying is such kind of a hot button topic, right? Like making games cheaper, more accessible. And the way that they've done it, they've almost sort of like built their whole brand and this like luxury like mystique around it, that it works. And I think that I just think it's really interesting. But I haven't played Fractured Sky, so I can only speak.
It is really interesting. Yeah, they had a reprint recently, and they didn't even offer the retail because they probably lost money on the retail because not enough people cared enough about it. Like I reviewed, like my review copy was like the retail one with the little cheap chits, and they were like, "Oh yeah, do you want a deluxe copy?" I was like, "I gotta stand by my brand." I'm like, and I like it on the shelf. Like I like the smaller box on the shelf, right? For what it is, it's gonna stick around forever. I really like it is retail, but then I noticed when they came back to Kickstarter, they're like, yeah, we have the deluxe and the super deluxe completely painted for you, like beautifully painted. But yeah, they just, that's the market that they've hit. And I think it is because their games are really good. Like they're mechanically sound, or at least for me, I quite enjoy them. I know I was playing some with some of my patrons were like, oh yeah, everybody's talking about the Ivy Studios. And then I get to it and I'm like, man, this could be a game with so fewer components and I like it more. I was like, I totally get that. But like, I think because the games are good, that's how they get away with it too, for sure.
Yeah, they're another company. I feel like every game that they're coming out with these days, and they don't publish a lot, but what they do, every single one's been a hit. At least with my group, this one, Mythic Mischief, Moonrakers, all fantastic games.
Veiled Fate,
Veiled Fate, all incredible. And again, Veiled Fate is basically a board game / social deduction game. You don't need any of those pieces, but you know what? Yeah, it makes for. Yeah, you have them, and it's like it makes for a really cool experience. And Fractured Sky,
you can get them in metal.
Yeah, exactly. Even more deluxified. I love that. Chris, I agree with you. Fractured Sky is wonderful. It also made my list. It was top 5 for me. Yeah, top 5 for me. You were talking about Raw. It does sort of with the sort of like bidding thing. I feel like has a little Raw. It also reminds me of like El Grande, the area control bit to it, which Yeah, I love it, and I did a stream on my channel, and we had a wonderful time with it, and yeah, it's like an instant love for me was Fractured Sky.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to number 7. Back to me for this one. Now this one, I'm just scratching the surface of this game. I've played it exactly once at 2 players. I played it 3/4 of the way as a solo game. I started a 3-player game, but we ran out of time, so how am I rating this so high? I'm just going to tell you the name of the game. Number 7 is Imperium Horizons. I think this game, even though I scratched the surface of it, is absolutely brilliant. It is a deck building game with a ton of cards. It is a table hog. It's got so many combos. It is brain burning and mind melting. It's a civilization game, and you're playing. It's deck building. You're drawing cards. You're adding them to your tableau, and eventually you hope to time it just right where your civilization takes off and scores the most victory points for the win. I found this to be so brilliant, and just, oh my gosh, everything about this is just absolutely awesome. You have so many different things, different ways to score points, and I guess, so I haven't played the original Imperiums. I think it's Classics and Legends. I have not played those, but from what I understand, they've cleaned up some of it, and they've sort of nerfed the combat. So instead of combat, you can have trading, so you can trade with other players, and I know Richard would probably prefer that over straight combat, but oh my gosh, this one, again, I'm still scratching the surface of this one, but I just see it for what it is, like just this awesome vision of deck building, where the deck building that I honestly prefer is like quick stuff, like Battlers, like Shards of Infinity, Star Realms, that type of stuff. This is the complete opposite. You're going to be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, slowly building up, trying to thin your deck out, but at the same time trying to get those exact cards that you want to, make your civilization robust and get you resources so you can use those resources to, punch your opponents and whatnot. But it's so good. Imperium Horizons. I will revisit this at some point to talk a little more in depth about it, but I'm giving you the surface level. Hey, I love this, and I know it's going to be one of my favorite games of all time. That's where it's going, and that's where it is right now. Number 7 on our list, Imperium Horizons.
That's is that David Turczi?
It is David Turczi. Yes. And his games usually hurt my brain, especially his solo games.
It's a combo. It's a dual design though. I think Nigel something is the second designer.
I forget the name. You're right though. It's Nigel something. But
Yeah.
I know Richard will have something to say with this because we've talked about how much he's enjoyed this, and I feel like this is, for me, it really is going to be one of those all-timers for me. But yeah, deck building, folks. Nice. I love it. Nice. All right. Who's next? Oh, it's Ray. Up to Ray for number 6. Yes.
Okay, so my next one is, I'm gonna kind of follow in Ruel's footsteps and say I've only just scratched the surface of this game, and this is because this literally was delivered to my doorstep like 5 days ago. But I'm really taken aback by how much I enjoy this game, and this is Arcs. So Arcs kind of was really stacked against itself for me, right? It has a space theme, it has combat, it has dice rolling, all things I tend to not enjoy, but it is a Cole Worley game. So I was like, all right. And we had him on the show. The way he was talking about it, I was like, all right, dude, I will give it a shot. I will back this game on Kickstarter. Just fulfilled. So I've only played it once, and I'm sorry to put it on this list, having only played it once, but I really was impressed by how much I like this game. And to be fair, it's like a 2-hour game. So I sat with this game for a while. And the things that I really like about this game, the first is the kind of pseudo trick-taking action selection mechanic, I think is just so brilliant. I love trick-taking, and I've never seen it done this way. I mean, it's relatively light. It doesn't feel like a trick-taking game, but that is how you select your action. So I'm going to try to explain this in a way that makes any sense without having a card in front of me. So you're going to be dealt a hand of cards that are going to have different numbers and different suits. And the suits correspond to different actions you can take. So maybe one is moving and attacking, and the other is declare, what is it, going and getting a card, or claiming a card. There's a term for it, securing a card. A bunch of different actions you can take. And the leader, whoever's leading the trick, is going to play a card. So it's going to have a suit and it's going to have a number. And then people after that are going to play like a regular trick-taking game. And you can follow suit. And if you can follow suit and beat the number of the leader, you get to take all of the actions on that card represented by pips. So higher numbered cards have typically fewer pips, but they're more likely to beat, and you're able to actually take all of those actions. You can also play an offsuit card and just take one like kind of consolation action or whatever. It's just a really clever mechanic, and you can also tank your card. If you're the leader, you can replace your number with a 0, which means you're not gonna be able to do everything, but you are able to claim like one of these open win conditions. It's a cold whirly game. I should just stop trying to explain it because it's hard to do. But it's just really clever. It's a really clean action selection system that I've never seen done before. Go watch someone explain it better than I just did. I think it's very clever and very cool. I also really appreciate that the combat is super simple. I am not a war gamer. I do not like dudes on a map. Nothing turns me off more from a game than seeing dudes on a map. Because I typically associate it with like crunchy, heady math that's gonna annoy me. I love that your ships, which are the things you battle with, have 2 states. They have up and they have down. If they're full health, they stand up, and if they've been hit, they lie down. I love that. Super simple, very visually communicative. There's no calculating of HP or any of that. There's no defense mechanism or anything like that. Love that. There is dice rolling, but it does feel complex and strategic because you get to choose what kinds of dice you are rolling depending on what kind of attack you are doing. And I also really love that in classic Cole Worley style, he found a way to weave everything together in a really elegant way. This could have very easily ballooned out into a game that has twice the number of components that it does, but he's found ways to like have multiple uses for cards, right? Like when you think about in Root, how every faction uses the same cards, but just in different ways, kind of a similar thing with this, where the cards do multiple things. They affect lots of different things without it being overproduced and too many components. So I played one game of this, and it is described as a fast-playing space opera, and that is exactly what it feels like. And this is on my list because I was just blown away by how much I enjoyed it, despite kind of all the odds stacked against it. But it is that Cole Worley design that carries through and really weaves it together in a way that I really enjoy, and I cannot wait to get this to the table more. But it literally was delivered to my house like last week, so
Nice,
I haven't had the chance. But the first game I played of it, I really enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
Yeah, this one is again high on my list of games I want to play this year. I know this is going to be another one that's going to be one of my favorites. This one, and a lot of these on the list today are games that I'm so fired up about. Ray, I'm glad you liked it. I know it was really cool to see you have this on the list, actually, because I know you're not really this space opera type of person, and the way Cole, he's a genius. The stuff that he's come up with, right? And especially when you have the combat where it doesn't feel like the typical war game combat, right? And even like he did that with Root as well, right? It's just, it's very simplified, but it makes sense within the context of the game. So really excited to hear you have this on the list.
Really has once again tricked me into playing a Dudes on a Map.
Yeah.
Once again, I've been bamboozled.
Nice. Okay. Richard's got number 5. Richard, take it away.
All right, continuing on. Chris, Fractured Sky. Have not gotten a chance to play it. Probably won't. Area control, mixed with, mind game deduction-y stuff. I don't think it would be a good fit for me and Jen, but I do remember watching Shay's run-through of it on the channel when it was crowdfunding last year, and yeah, it did look really brilliant. And honestly, having just played IV Games' new title that's about to go on crowdfunding, what was it, Brink, they seem to become a publisher to be reckoned with, and I expect this one's probably going to make a lot of top 10s of the year as well, because man, the production value on it just seems through the roof. Ruel, Imperium Horizons, this makes me so happy to see this on the list. I knew you would love it. Sadly, I haven't had a chance to play it, even though I've gotten a copy. Amy did a great run through for it. I'm sorry, not Amy, Maggie did a fantastic run through for it early in the year while Jen and I were still on the road, and it's just sitting on my shelf right on the other side of that wall over there. It's drilling a hole in my brain. I just haven't had time to actually play it yet, so I'm very excited to spend some quality time doing some trade instead of some exchange as opposed to extermination. My favorite X in a 4X game, and Imperium still, I think, is one of the greatest modern Euro card designs of all time. An amazing title, and I'm so glad to see you agree, Ruel. Ray, Arcs. Ever since we had Chris Leader on the show back in, was it January? Yeah, it's right. Yeah. And he talked about arcs and whatnot. It sounded so fantastic. Have not gotten a chance to play it myself, but if all goes to plan, Shay will be doing a run through of it for the channel in July, sometime in the next few weeks. I know he's got a copy of it. It's going to coincide. He's doing a how to play for his channel. He's going to do a run through at the same time on my channel. So I can't wait to see it in action. But now let's move on to number 5 on our combined list, shall we? It's Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig, which, man, this has just come out of nowhere to be maybe my new favorite roll and write of all time because it does so many things. First of all, this completely replaces the original Castles of Mad King Ludwig for me. Because, excuse me, it does away or simplifies and streamlines what was the biggest stumbling block for me and Jen with the original Mad King, which was the I split you choose that so slowed the game down and just made things take forever. So it's just a much faster, snappier draft, which is really nicely implemented. But then once you get your card you're going to build, I love the blueprint aesthetic of this. That you there's a bunch of different colored pencils, and you're writing on vellum paper. So as you're trying to figure out, as you can see right there, how is this room going to fit as I expand my castle for the Mad King? And then you just get out the pencil and you fill it in. The roll and write of this is just a blast. And by the time you're done, you've got, the strongest thing about the original Castle of Mad King Ludwig was always at the end you feel like, wow, I've got this really odd castle, but it somehow has a theme. It tells a story, and that definitely happens here. But the fact that I'm not just putting tiles down, I'm actually, at the blueprints table, literally designing this thing as I go with the really cool transparent paper, so you can, when you draft the cards, you can slip them in, rotate them around, make sure everything fits before you start drawing it in. It's just a blast, and I think it's just absolutely phenomenal. And ensures that, there's a nice random mix of stuff because you're drafting cards. But, some people would say, why aren't these just tiles like the original game? Well, because you want to have such a wide variety. Some of the tiles that shapes, I should say, that come on these cards, I don't know if you could actually make them in tiles, because the tiles would be very, tough to actually cut and all of that. Because the fact that there's just the only limit is the designer's imagination for the different shapes, and then you draw them on the board, just gives so much more flexibility and freedom. And the other thing, there's a couple things that really makes this game so elevated beyond just the fun factor of making a blueprint as you go. One is the Bezier Games' attention to variable objectives. There are so many of them in this game that you can collect over the course of the game, and they combine in so many fun and interesting ways. There's the 4 public ones that everybody's racing, and every time, I don't know, if you play this game 100 times and not get the same combination, probably 1,000 times and not get the same combination of public objectives, and those objectives radically change the way the game evolves. But then players can be grabbing their own private objectives they're trying to complete as well, and these combine to give so much replayability and variability. You'll never get the same game twice here. It's so much fun. And then on top of that, the powers, because every time you build a building or a type of room, you're unlocking one of several different powers, and often as the game goes on, those powers can really start to combo chain together, kind of Gone Shown Clever like, and it's so satisfying to pull off big super turns where, okay, I do this one thing and that gave me the power, and I can use that power because I've got enough of them to trigger these other 2 powers that lets me do something that I would have thought was impossible at the beginning of the game. So really sharp. And also, after number 9, where I pointed out the very, very sadly overlooked element of colorblind friendliness of my previous entry, Cities, it is so great to see that Bezier Games was on the ball with this, and they did not screw it up. Because while you might be looking and saying, hey, well, aren't there just a bunch of colors? Isn't this going to be just as problematic? Every single color has its own unique symbol. You could play this game with a ballpoint pen of a single color, and instead of shading in the greens and the reds, like I'm showing here, you could just be drawing in the symbols for the different types of rooms as well, and it would be just as playable. And so that attention to detail is also much appreciated. I adore everything about this game. I have a high level of confidence it'll make it into my top 10 games of the year. But, we're only halfway through, so time will tell. But for now, at this point, at the midway check-in of 2024, Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig comes in as my personal number 2 and our communal number 5.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as well. I honestly didn't know it was out already. I had heard about it, and I just didn't know it was out. But I like the original base game. It's one of those games that I always felt like would translate well in the roll and write category, and sure enough, it did. So thank you, Richard.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I heard a lot of folks coming out of Origins really, really enjoyed this. I caught someone literally right after they played a demo of this, and they like wouldn't stop buzzing about it. So
Nice.
Cool.
I haven't tried it yet, but people have been really excited about it. I
Good
feel
to
like I haven't seen someone do something cool with transparency in a
Yeah.
minute. I feel like it was a little bit of a fad for a second, and then people kind of stopped using it, and it's cool to see it making a design comeback.
Yeah, very cool. And again, shout out to Bezier for making sure colorblind players can play the game as well. Okay, let's move on to number 4. We got our final 4. Moving on to Chris.
Okay, this one's our number 1, and then we'll do 4, 3, 2, just in that order. But I don't know how I got this one here. I really like this one. I'm stoked for everybody else to get their copies. This was on GameFound. It's by Burnt Island, and it's Endeavor Deep Sea. Endeavor Deep Sea is so good, so good. I'd never played any of the other Endeavors before playing Endeavor Deep Sea and after playing Endeavor Deep Sea, and I don't need to, because this is the one that I would want to play, and this is the one that you should play as well. My favorite things about this game are that you have like 4 tech tracks. Oh, look, there they are on the screen. How great, what great timing that was. These 4 tech tracks improve your abilities throughout the game, whether it be adding new people with better powers, the amount that you can explore down below, the amount of workers that you can retrieve, all sorts of different stuff like that. And you start at the top of the ocean, and then you just go down. And the further down you go, you're shuffling up these tiles. You're revealing with this modular board, and you're finding things to explore and things to conserve, right? And you want to get all of your little discs out on the game. On the board, that's what you do. You have a bunch of discs, try to put as many of them out as possible. You get a bunch of points for them. I think the scores were super close when I played this, and I like a good tight scoring condition. Especially, it's really fun when everybody's like, I'm like, oh, I'm at 82, and like you're at 80, and you're at like 78. And I think that's fun. Everything about this, it just works in terms of combos. I love that the trays were also made out of sugar. Or sugarcane pulp. That was the type. And yeah, I just think it is a really, really slick game. And I deeply, deeply regret not backing it, because the only reason I didn't back it is because my neighbor and not friend Yuval was backing and had a copy. And then I'm like,
Nice.
well, yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. I was trying to do this thing where if somebody who I know who lives, less than 50 meters away from me has a copy, maybe I don't purchase a copy for myself.
Yep.
And I still deeply regret that I didn't purchase a copy for myself. Even with that stipulation, if I can just literally go over and grab it, because I like it so much that I want it that on hand. And I'll probably end up getting a copy for me too. Yeah, it's really, really good. Highly recommend checking it out. I don't know if it has delivered yet or not. But I saw that it was listed as 2024 on BGG, and I said, that's what this list is about. So yes, get excited for it. And I think it's one worth looking out for, and be excited if you backed it for it to arrive at your door. Don't know when that is, but I think it's soon. I think it should be soon.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of hype about this. I'm so glad that you like it, Chris. And now I know it is a good game. If you've got gets your seal of approval, then it's something I need to check out ASAP.
Yeah,
cool. Let's get to the top three. I've got number three, and this
All
is
right.
my personal favorite game so far this year. I actually played it last year as a prototype, did a sponsored playthrough for it, and then when I got the final product, I was like, yeah, it confirms why I love this so much. It is our collector number three. It is a game called Let's Go to Japan, and this is a tableau builder by Josh Wood, who has quickly become one of my favorite designers based on exactly two games. He's done a bunch of ones like Cat Lady and stuff, but Let's Go to Japan and Santa Monica are wonderful, wonderful tableau builders. He's doing some really different things in tableau building. And in this one, I love the story behind this. I'll just quickly tell it. Josh was set to go with his partner to Japan. Then a little thing called the pandemic happened, so he couldn't go to Japan. So instead of going to Japan, he made a game about going to Japan. And this is a game literally about planning a week-long trip to Japan. You have all these activity cards that you want to do. You're going to draft cards. It's a card drafting / tableau building game. You will put those into the different days of the week, Monday through Saturday. And what you're trying to do is line them up so you can gain the most points. It's going to affect your mood, number one. Like, is it a happy mood? Is it a sad mood? Depending on where you put it. And then just like in Santa Monica, it surprised me where there's this like spatial element to it where at the end of the game, after you've laid out your tableau, you're literally going to take a little train car and go left to right, going to your different destinations. And if you plan it right, you'll get the most amount of points. Now, you're mainly trying to stay in Tokyo or Kyoto. You can go to both cities, but it will cost you more train tickets to get there. And then you're trying to balance that resource. Oh, it is so good. It's so wonderful. The theme really comes through in this game. I mean, it is... I've been to Japan once before, one of my all-time favorite trips. Michelle and I went to visit our daughter, Lauren. She was studying there for a year. We planned our trip around the cherry blossom season. Absolutely beautiful. We ate ramen every day. We ate sushi almost every day. And it's never been the same for us once we got to the States. It's the best trip ever. And playing this game reminded me of that because we did some of the activities here on the game itself. So these are all based on real-life activities and things you can do. And the tableau building in this game is awesome. And I highly recommend this game. Theme and mechanisms blended perfectly. In our number three, Let's Go to Japan.
Nice. I haven't played it, but
yeah.
I'm back to my Duolingo of Japan, of
Yes.
Japanese. So I feel a kinship.
Yes, you were totally there, Chris. So
yeah, I might as well have played it. Yeah,
exactly. So definitely check this one out, folks. Let's move on to our number two. Ray, you've got our choice.
All right. Number two, this one, in contrast to Arcs, which are a little dicey putting on this list because I've only played it once, this is the game that I've played the most. Out of all the games that have released in 2024, this is the game that I played the most, so I feel the most confident putting this high up on my list, and that is Aqua, Biodiversity in the Oceans.
Yes.
So this is a game that released early in the year, like January, February-ish. And this is a tile laying game, and it has a 3D like stacking element, kind of like Acropolis, if you've played that game. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be drafting these coral tiles, these like hexagonal coral tiles that have 3 distinct colors, or sometimes only 2 colors on them. And you're going to be putting them together to form little collections of colors. So you can see right there, she put 2 corals together that had 2 pinks and 2 yellows, and now she's creating little sections of pink and yellow. And you can, as you're building out your coral reef, if you get the correct combination of colors, you can attract small animals, which take the form of just small little hexagons that you put on top of the proper orientation coral. And so now you have 2 layers, right? You have coral on bottom, then you have a small creature on top, and then the part that I love is that if you get the right combination and orientation of small creatures on this second layer, you can then bring in large creatures to form this third layer. And the idea is that you're creating this biodiverse ocean ecosystem from the ground up. You have to have a diverse array of coral and then a diverse array of small animals, and then you can sustain these larger animals on top of that. And it's this really fun, it gets compared a lot to Acropolis and Cascadia because of the theme and because of that layered approach to tile laying. Truly, at this point, I've played so much Aqua, it really doesn't feel like either of those games, truly. Like, the puzzle is very different, and I find it to be a lot crunchier and a lot tighter than both of those games. This is like, it has a relaxing element. You can play this in a calm, sort of plodding way, but I find this game quite tense and quite stressful. It's also much more aggressive than Cascadia, just simply with the drafting. So with Cascadia, right, it refills every time every person who plays gets a full array of tiles to choose from. In Aqua, you're going to be taking turns and those options are going to be going down. And there's a mechanism for you to become first player, but that creates a lot more player interaction, which it's my one big thing against Cascadia is I don't like that it kind of feels like multiplayer solitaire a little bit. I'm like, I'm making my nice little habitat here. And yes, there's drafting, but I'm not always really paying attention to what other people are doing. Maybe that's why I always lose Cascadia. But this feels much more inherently interactive, a lot tighter, a lot crunchier, which is what I prefer in a game. So I feel like these nature tile laying games tend to have this really like, they're calm, they're family weight. This is not that. And that's why I really enjoy it. So yeah, that's Aqua Biodiversity in the Oceans.
Yeah, a great choice, Ray. This was also on my short list for games so far this year. I figured Gnome Hollow and Aqua would make it. I'm glad to see both of them are a wonderful game. I'm glad you brought up Acropolis and Cascadia. Those are the first two that come into my mind. But yeah, it plays different enough where I think all three deserve a space in your collection or library if you have the space, because all three are wonderful games and great choice.
Thanks.
Okay. Richard, what you got for the final one on the list of top games of 2024 so far?
Okay, all right. The final four, an excellent selection of choices. Chris, I cannot say how jealous I am of you. I so desperately want to play Endeavor Deep Sea. And I guess me, like everybody else out there, will have to keep waiting because it hasn't come out yet. Which, makes it a bit iffy putting on this list. But hey, I did the same thing with Cities. As far as I know, Cities is not available. It'll be available at Gen Con. I'm sure Endeavor Deep Sea will be available at Gen Con. But hey, you got to play it in the first half. And so I broke the same rule as you. Not that we ever established a rule for this. Regardless, I'm just waffling because I'm just so desperate to play this game. Potential top 10 of the year candidate based on, the pedigree of the design and the developers and the publisher. Very excited for Endeavor Deep Sea. Ruel, Let's Go Japan is fantastic. And I think really cements Josh Wood, who, his day job is a board game developer at AEG, I believe. But he is an amazing designer in his own right. I'm not sure. I think I might still prefer Santa Monica over Let's Go Japan. Of course, a lot of people love Cat Lady too. Josh, he is on fire, and this one is so charming, so smartly considered, so thematically integrated, and the story behind its development, I don't know if you told the story well, is wonderful as well. Definitely one of the ultimate examples of making lemonade out of lemons. Ray, Aqua is so gorgeous. I think the OP is going to have a very good year. I mean, 2 entries on this list from the OP, and I could totally see why, this would be a top game for a lot of people out there. Definitely, if you love Azul or similar tile-laying, largely abstract tile games, you probably want to check it out. I mean, I love the dual layer, laying down, the base work and then putting the individual, fish on top of it. Really, really sharp, incredibly fast, packs a huge punch in such a tiny package. And hey, Vincent Dutray art just makes it absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And then finally, our combined number one, which, there's every likelihood it might be my number one game of the year. But man, there is so much amazing stuff coming this Essen. Folks, if you haven't already done it, be sure to subscribe because we'll be pretty soon doing Essen previews. And before that, we'll be doing Gen Con previews here on the R&R. So there is a very exciting second half of the year coming, including Cities and Endeavor Deep Sea. But for now, I've got to say the best game of the year of 2024 that I have played so far by a country mile is Windmill Valley. The third game from new design up-and-comer Danny Garcia is his best. Last year, I loved Barcelona from the same publisher, Board and Dice, and I loved Arboria, but this one really takes the cake because, it stands on the shoulders of one of the all-time great modern Euros, Zolkin, with its spinning gears, and elevates the experience in every way. The little dual wheel, dual geared windmill board that everybody has in front of them that you get to spin so often in this game. You're constantly playing with this thing, not only for actually taking your turns, but also just planning your future turns. Like, okay, where am I going to put this upgrade? What's it going to line up with when it gets over there? So, I mean, just the fact that this is so wonderfully done. The action on this spinner is so smooth. But that aside, it is so deep. As you're upgrading the left wheel or the right wheel to try to make the right combos of actions that you get to do on a future turn, 3 or 4 turns from now, while also, investing in the tulip trade. I mean, there's several different games. There is building your windmills and grabbing more territory. There is buying and selling at the market done in a very, very clever way that's incredibly interactive. If there's a stall that's full of a lot of other players, you want to get to that stall quick because you'll get a bigger payday than if you go to a stall that's not very busy all by yourself. And then the other thing is monitoring the rise and fall of waters as these in the Netherlands, it's all based on the real particulars of how they have to control the flow of water to flood and empty out, more importantly, the different tulip fields so the tulips can grow. And there's so much that goes into it. And again, it's another place where, okay, well, I like the water level as it is, but on your turn you increase the water level, and that not only changes the overall makeup of the board, because now everybody's, because if the water levels are changing faster because of a choice you made, that's totally changing how my windmill is going to operate. And it's also speeding up the game. But it also gives me an opportunity to capitalize on that because maybe I wanted to jump ahead. You're the one who took the time and money to invest in speeding it up, and now I can reap the benefits. Players are so interlocked. Even though this is not a game with a mean bone in its body, there is still so much that your economy affects my economy in so many different ways. Oh, and also, not for nothing, this has got to be the prettiest game that publisher Board and Dice have ever put out. It's so bright and wonderful and colorful with all the different colored tulips that you're planting into your own fields. Just everything about it is sharp, sharp, sharp. And it now means the designer Danny Garcia is in danger. I mean, is he my third favorite designer now? It's a bit too early to say with only 3 games, but they have been 3 amazing games, and they're just getting progressively better with every single one. Later this year, he's going to have his 4th game out, Daitoshi. I'm excited about that one too. Time will tell, but I'm telling you right now, folks, Windmill Valley, this is going to be on a lot of top 10s at the end of the year. It's certainly going to be on mine, and it's our number 1 at this midway check-in point. But folks, I'm just getting started. If you want to go into the extended episode, follow the links down in the show notes. I've got a full top 10. In fact, I've got almost 30 I could talk about. I still haven't decided if I'm going to give you a top 30 or a top 10. But check out the extended show, and I'll see you there.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Folks, there's your number 1. There's 12 games so far we think are the best of 2024 so far. Mm-hmm. But we've still got plenty of time to go this year. There's going to be a lot more great games coming your way. I want to thank Chris and Ray for hanging out with us today. I want to thank Richard for hanging out with us via video. And I want to thank our sponsor, sponsor. Oh my gosh, I just totally choked on the sponsor. Our sponsor for Imperfect Crimes. Check it out now. From Key. I'm gonna have to re-record this. Key Enigma. Why can't I get that name right? Okay. Thanks to Key Enigma for sponsoring this episode. Be sure to check out Imperfect Crimes on Kickstarter until July 8th. And we're back. Wow, that was
shout out to Key Enigma, baby.
Yeah, Key Enigma. Wow. Folks, we are on the post show. We're going to run through this real quick. Time just flies whenever we're all together. It's just like, oh my gosh, where did the time go?
Truly.
Why don't we start things off with Richard's post show? I don't know how long this video. I think it's only 5 minutes, but I don't know if he's talking about 40.
It's probably 40, but let's see.
We'll see. And then we'll come back to us, folks. Let us know again in comments what games you think are the best of 2024.
Yeah. Drop them in.
Richard, here we go.
Okay, here we are in the post show, and I thought about doing a big, epic top 28, but I just know there's not time, and I want to give Ruel, Chris, and Ray opportunity to talk too. So I'm just going to limit it to my 10 best of the year so far. You've already heard my top 3. So what's numbers 10 through 4? Let's go. And turn the timer on. Somebody start because I'm going to try and get this done in under 3 minutes. Go! Number 10 is Astronauts Eternity. The latest from the spin-off series from one of my favorite deck builders of all time, Aeon's End. I still prefer Aeon's End over Astronauts, but the final boss of this Eternity is literally the greatest boss battle I have ever fought in any board game, in any medium. It's absolutely amazing and so elevates the experience. Plus, it was just, the Astronaut system is great anyway. If you want to know more about it, go check out my final thoughts when I covered the prototype when it was on Kickstarter. I actually spoil it. I won't spoil it here though, but it's just absolutely amazing for a diehard lifelong Star Trek fan like me. Number 9, Let's Go Japan. Hey, how easy. We've already talked about this. Let's move on to number 8, Collab, a very sharp worker placement game where you put your workers out on the board to do something, but then they stay there and then they become usable things that other players can use, because to make our potions in our mad scientist laboratory, we've got to get different workers next to each other and then use them as resources. So once I put a worker out, everybody has the opportunity to use that worker in their own concoctions, and it's so cool. It's called Collab because players, even though it's a competitive game, are collaborating like crazy, and I love it. Next up, number 6 is, or 7, I'm sorry, is Leviathan Wilds. Probably the most thematically strong co-op game I have ever played. This is literally Shadows over Colossus, or Shadow of the Colossus, the old video game where we're tiny little heroes literally climbing on skyscraper-sized monsters, not trying to kill them, unlike Shadows of Colossus, but trying to save them, which I love, that extra attention to detail. And this game comes with so many different bosses. Each one creates its own map that you explore. It is so good. I'm so happy. Its first attempt at Kickstarter didn't quite make it, but the second one did. It's available, or backers anyway have got their copies now. It is super sharp. Number 6 is Salton Sea. Another from Devere. That's 2 from Devere on my personal list. Brilliant economic simulation all about lithium extraction in the Salton Sea in Southern California. Devere did miss the boat on trying to address some of the ecological problems that are inherent with this, but they did actually shine a light on larger issues, which I appreciate. But all of that, the thematic stuff aside, it is a brilliant design where your money is multi-use. You either use it to buy more stuff, or your money cards all have special powers. But if you use them for that, then you've got no money to actually run your operation. So sharp. And number 5 is Chandigarh. Probably not be people have heard about this yet, but Jen and I played this for the first time the other day, and her brain literally melted down. It's so big, it's so simple. It's as simple and clean and elegant as cities, and it's so rich as we're building up Chandigarh, which is a capital in India, and oh man. Folks, watch for it soon. I'm running out of time, but suffice to say, pattern matching game based on the architectural work of Le Corbusier to build Chandigarh is phenomenal. Almost just missed making my top 3. And then number 4 is Cascadia Rolling Rivers. Turning Cascadia into a roll and write was something, but it's not the Cascadia-ness that makes this so special. It's the fact that your objectives are on a conveyor belt. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I love conveyor belts in board games, and they work so well here. You can check out my run through, or Amy and Maggie's. We did a duel because I covered Rolling Hills, they covered Rolling Rivers. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's my number 4 so far of the year, and I don't think I quite did 3 minutes, but I think I made 4 if I get out now.
Oh, Richard, you're fine. We were talking about here. We're the biggest culprits now of talking too much.
You know what?
Right?
You know what, Richard? We've all been talking. We've talked it over. And next R&R show, you get to talk as long as you want. Make as long videos as long as you want.
Yeah.
We're gonna make all of ours less than 3 minutes. We'll have a chess clock and we'll tap it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And once we hit 3 minutes, we'll just sit here in silence looking at the screen waiting for your videos.
I just feel so bad. He's like
I love
we made
that.
him very self-conscious about how long he talks. And I feel like if we're being honest, I am the one who talks the most. So I feel like
I am the Spartacus who talks the most.
Yes, it is me. It is I.
Why don't we share the other games that did make the list? Ray, you want to start with the ones that didn't make the list?
Yeah, I had Skyrise on my list, which I also
yes.
got fulfilled on Kickstarter. And then I also had the other, again, I have not played a ton of games that released this year just because of the way my collecting works. But what is it? Kelp? The Shark versus Octopus game?
Yeah.
Love that. I played that on like TTS. It hasn't fulfilled yet. And the reason I ended up putting it lower on my list was just because I've only played one of the 2 roles. So I can't speak to how satisfying, because this is an asymmetrical 2-person cat and mouse game. I can only speak to the octopus, which is what I played. Very satisfying. Love playing as the octopus. I have yet to play as a shark, so I left it off my list because I couldn't speak to that. But I am very, very excited to get the physical version of Kelp, which I hope is coming this year.
Nice.
Yeah, and those were the 2 that I was really considering. I played a couple of other ones, but those were the standouts for sure. And of course, Gnome Hollow, but I honestly didn't even consider that because it's technically not out yet, so it wasn't on my radar. But that's a great.
Oh yeah, that's true. You didn't get any grief from Richard about picking something that was not out. It's
No,
just
he
just reserved it for me. He reserved it for my.
I totally forgot that it wasn't out yet. I thought it was out yet. So it's a Gen Con release, right? Ray, is that right?
Yeah, Gen Con release.
Yeah,
okay, cool. I totally forgot about that.
Well, I mean, Gnome Hollow was also on my short list too, so I broke it twice. Another one I was considering was Life in Reterra, which is the Eric Lang.
I haven't played that yet.
It's fun.
I've heard amazing things though.
I played it. Yeah, I played it with West, who he came over to. He's behind Rove. So we filmed like a Rove playthrough, and then we just hung out and play a bunch of games afterwards. We played that. We played Unfair. It was great. It was a lovely evening. And then he drove he's like, oh, I only have a 6-hour drive home. I'm like, why are you staying here? It is 8 p.m. It is now 9 p.m. He's like, it'll be fine as long as I get in to wish my kids well as they head off to school. I'll be perfect. I was like,
wow.
Oh my god!
But I want to play another game of Life in Reterra. I was like, okay, let's do it. So that one was really fun, like very easy tile laying, King Domino-ish, in terms of matching groups of terrain. That one was pretty fun. And then Weirdwood Manor just fulfilled, which I quite enjoyed. It's a co-op game where it's kind of like a big worker placement game where you can't access all those spots. There's this like clock. The whole map sort of shifts, and it's the doorways that shift. That's either open or closed. So if you can draw a path from where you are to get to a spot, you can do that thing. I also think that one. Somebody was saying that they played it like 5 players and it was excruciating. I think it would be. I think it's better at like a lower player count. But I'm excited to that has gotten delivered to my Toronto address, and so that was one where I was at a board game convention and it was masks mandated, and so I sat down. I was like, "Oh, I want to try this thing," and then only after I tried it, and I was like, "Well, this is really good." I was like, "By the way, I review board games. Do you want to send it to me?" And then like I'll do a preview for you, and if you send me a copy, they're like, oh yeah, I was like, because I like it. So
nice.
But yeah, that's I share that in terms of a testament of being like, if it wasn't good, I was gonna walk away. But I was like, no, I think I like this, and I want to tell people about it. So I quite am excited to see the final production copy of that and to play that as well.
Right on. I had a few that were on the list that y'all mentioned. So Let's Go Japan, Imperium Horizons, Gnome Hollow, Skyrise, Ray, also Aqua as well, Fractured Sky on my list. The one that I thought would make the list but didn't, Captain Flip. I just recently played it.
I haven't played it.
It is absolutely brilliant. It's simple. It's family weight, but it is brilliant. It was just recently nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. So check that one out. Also on my list, let's see, Skyrim, Gloomhaven, Buttons and Bugs. I absolutely love that, but it is a solo-only game. Rebirth, had to have a Knizia there, so that one is excellent. And my final one was Kinfire Delve, Scorn Stockade from Incredible Studio. That one, really solid, another solo game. And my honorable mention was A Gentle Rain. I love that game, but I I wasn't sure if it should be this year because it's an older game that's been reprinted this year, but wanted to shout that one out as well. Folks, we are way past our time here, but again, thank you for watching. We saw a bunch of the games that y'all have had, chat, Rolling Hills and Rolling Rivers, fantastic roll and write games. And so forth. Let's raid another channel. We're going to continue the party here on Rahdo Runs Through, and we are going to raid. We found our friends Dave and Ilka over on Losapalooza. They are playing some games right now, and we're going to raid them. You're going to get extra raid channel points for sticking around for the raid. So in 5, 4, 3. Oh, last couple of seconds for raid and Chris to say something.
Bye, everybody.
Okay,
No,
bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Nice, we're over.
We're over. Okay, cool. Thanks.
We're over.
We are over.
We're
Let me
done.
stop.